Thank you for joining Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. We got another great episode for you tonight. Episode number 60. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Boy, it's almost been 2 years. Hard to believe that we've had coaches from all over the country and Canada be on the show. We have NBA players that have been on here. As a matter of fact, tonight, man, I love the diversity of this show. We have a D3 women's coach, we have a 13-year NBA veteran, and we have a D1 women's coach. So tonight's kind of ladies' night, with the exception of the NBA player that will be on later on, which is the second guest. And actually, the third guest, even though he's on the women's side, he is a guy. But I'm a big advocate for women's basketball. I'm a big advocate for D1, D2, D3, NAI, JUCO, and all levels. And that's why I want this show to be about. And I want it to be about education as well. And tonight, boy, well, we almost got carried away backstage just talking about certain things, because I get excited when I talk about certain things, and this is going to hit home so much for you people all over the country, parents and kids that want to understand the recruiting process. This is pertinent that you listen to this coach. We got Coach Desiree Driver on tonight, from the head coach from Averett University, and I've actually been up there. Listen, for all of you people that sleep on facilities, their facilities are better than a number of D2 and D1 facilities. Believe that. And what I'll probably do at some point is I'll probably put on Twitter a picture of their arena. Because when I walked into the arena, I was like, what is that? Okay. And, I'm so happy. And thank you for coming on the show tonight, number one. But, boy, we're going to jump right into this. And, with you, when we first connected, I was like, I got to have her on the show. And, you were so receptive. And thank you so much for that. But let's just start with, how you doing tonight?
I am good. I can't complain. I'm living the dream.
Listen,
I get to do basketball every day. I cannot complain.
Absolutely. When we share that passion like that, I was like, let's go ahead and start this show. We'll be 7:25 and we still talking. Right. Averett University, it's a D3 school. And as we were talking about, there's a lot of misconception about D3 basketball. Yeah. And the misconception is, number one, the level. Number two, people think, I have to pay. And with it, having to pay, yes, the price can be somewhat high for D3s, just depending.
Yes.
But people don't understand the financial aid, the merit scholarships, in-house and outside of the school as well. So I definitely wanted to touch on that. I want to talk about your team. I want to talk about a bunch of things that, people don't understand about the university. Like I said, facilities alone has got some really nice facilities. And, I'm going to advocate it. And so for people, when the show is over, I'm going to post a picture of their arena so you guys can see what it looks like.
Right. But yes.
let's talk about your team, and let's talk about what you got coming up this year. Players. We're going to talk about recruits. We're just going to chop it up tonight.
We'll get it all. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Okay. So when you're out looking for players, and I know you get this, this quote all the time. You say, hey, I'm Coach Driver from Averett University. Sometimes they may turn up their nose or their lips a little bit when they find out you're D3. How do you approach that?
I like to think I'm humble with it. I've had plenty of years now. I'm not too old in it, but I've had a couple of years now where I have patience. And for some kids, I can read that they still got the hope. But if I stick around, they're going to come home, right? And then sometimes it's like, no, they're going to be stubborn all the way through. And I might see them out of JUCO in a year or two. It just kind of depends. I'm developing the feel for it. But the biggest combative is just to be around. They start to see the comparison. I'm going to recruit you. I'm going to send you mail. I'm going to call you. We're going to be at games. And then you're going to look over and wonder where that D2 or D1 coach is. And you're going to start to feel the love. And that's, I let my actions speak for me, because there really aren't enough words. They don't know who I am. They don't know where Averett is, or, we don't have the name recognition. So I gotta use the love. Gotta give them the love.
I like that. And you know, what you just said hits home because one of the terms you'll see on Twitter, you'll see it all around, go where they want you and go where you're loved.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just hit on something like that D1 may come to the first game and they may not see him again. So
Right.
when D1 dreams start to disappear, they start to look around and say, who really wants me?
Right.
If you're still there, then it's time to say, okay, let me start to see what this is about.
Yep.
That's a quarter of the battle right
Right.
there.
Right. That is so true.
Because once you get their attention,
Right.
now you got to break the news to them. You know
Right.
that D3 doesn't give scholarships,
Yes.
and then you know a lot of aid is based on grades and you know whatever merit that you can apply for inside of the school and outside of the school. And to me, that's how you make your living because that's how the school part gets paid for.
Right. Yep. It's true. The thing is, I think people when they hear, like, oh, no scholarships, no athletic scholarships. There's still the academic scholarships. There's still
Mhm.
need-based scholarships. You just have to put a little bit of work into finding some other options.
Exactly.
But there's stuff out there that you can use. So I think that's the first misconception, that there are none, but there are. You just got to work for them.
And so would your advice be to apply early to try and start to get those scholarships? And let's just say if Averett is an option and they say, okay, I'm gonna apply, okay, I'm accepted. Then they need to call financial aid and start asking what type of in-house scholarship money they have because it's going to be need-based, it's going to be merit-based.
Right.
It can be a number of things, you know, because I'm sure they have a bunch of scholarships, whether it be for their major or their GPA, whatever the case may be. And as we all know, first come, first serve a lot of
Right.
times with a lot of those.
Yeah. No, I mean, and if I were giving advice to the players out here who are looking like, D3s are the ones showing me love, how can I make this work? As somebody who come from a single parent household,
Mhm.
I get it. As a coach, I'm not trying to put these kids in debt for the rest of their lives. It's not my goal or anything like that. So, if it doesn't work, I totally get it, but I try to help them find some way. So the first thing I would say is, like you said, apply early. Like everybody, all these schools are getting this government money and they have this pot of money and this is how much they got. And as the more people that, as they commit, the money starts going and going and going and gone. So the earlier the better. Do your FAFSA, turn in all your paperwork. Most D3s can't really tell you anything because everybody's looking for a number. Can't tell you anything until all your paperwork is in. And then we're not controlling any of that. They just tell us, they tell you, and you have to tell us because of just the rules and laws and everything like that. But turn in your stuff early as fast as you can and get it in. And then my next big thing is compare your packages. People don't talk about this, especially D3. We're all numbers based typically, and we're all trying to, like you said, we got to pay for the teachers and pay for everybody's salary. So numbers are huge for us. So if you come to us with our package, let's say Averett's giving, I don't know what grant, the cool tennis shoes grant, just for whatever. Let's say they give $3,000 and maybe a competitor school, someone right down the road, but Guilford is right down the road. Let's say Guilford gives the cool shoe grant and they're giving 7,000, right? It doesn't hurt to call our admissions office and say, hey, Guilford is right down the road. You're comparable. They're giving me 7. You're giving me 5. Can we get close? Can we match? And what's the worst they could say? No. Okay. No. But if they say yes, my goodness, you just got an extra couple of thousand. These are things you got to find. And then the other thing, like we talked about outside, but also inside, schools aren't trying to give away free money just like, here you go, everybody. They're not advertising that. So you got to do your homework. You've got to go on the website. You've got to go to the financial aid, click on calculators or scholarships or all of those. You got to dig through those tabs, and then you're going to find these scholarships and apply. You'll be surprised. Like Averett doesn't advertise those. They're there, but you got to go find them. So those are those things. And then outside, obviously, you got Sally Mae. You've got plenty of different things that can help you, but do your research. And it makes life easier when it gets down to that conversation of here's what it's going to cost and how can we go about affording that.
And just a side note real quick, Is Avid on the Common App where I see a lot of people are starting to go to that to
They
where they
have
can apply faster? They're on
Yeah,
there.
they've moved to there's a couple of different ways that they have multiple ways to apply. Now I think with young kids you've got to have multiple ways. Some of them are just on their phone. They want to go and grab it here. It's really easy though. There's no fee. You just kind of log in
Okay.
and it's pretty simple. Now they're realizing that that's how you get the apps in and things like that. Is just provide different ways of filling it out. Ours only takes like 15 minutes, so super easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. 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 So I know you guys. I mean, we know that part about the D3, but let's talk about the conference you guys are in.
Right. Comforts, the
Hmm.
comforts we have. I for me, when you're on any basketball team, I think there's two main things that players are thinking about, and the number one thing is food. Period. Point blank. If you feed the players, they're good. You just got to make sure you feed them some decent food, and so that is covered. I love to eat, so there's gonna be food on the bus. We're gonna get the food. That's no doubt about that.
Okay.
And some other comforts I think to me is the traveling. I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I like to travel. I think that's the best part of the sport is getting to meet new people and experience new places and opportunities. And like last year, we're going to museums, just a place you just would never go, really, things like that. So I would say
Your
those are
conference
comforts.
is kind of North Carolina, Virginia, correct?
Mostly Virginia. We've got one school. We just moved to the ODAC. So we
Oh,
were in
that's
the
right.
USA
That's right.
South. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and most of those are in Virginia, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
And Guilford is the only one.
In North Carolina. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So travel wise, you 2-3 hours for the most
No,
part. For
this year it wasn't. Last year we're in Georgia. We're kind of going around. This year we've just changed over and we've kept it simple, but still we get to go to tournaments. There's times we get to go to tournaments and get to do stuff. So that to me is a perk. I like doing that. We still get to travel. We just may not be in chartered planes or private planes. We can't do that, but we get the bus, we get the charter bus, we get the internet and the movies, and we entertain ourselves. So
okay. Okay. So here's an interesting question I have for you. What are most of the players? What do they major in there?
we have a variety. I mean, we're pulling from so many different places. We've had a lot of business, some physical health, a lot of people trying to, therapy or things like that. But I think, our programs, our specialty programs like nursing are starting to take off. So, but it's a variety. I don't have like a major that more players go to. It's definitely personal. There's definitely personal. So no majors that are sticking out with
Okay.
my girls.
Okay. Now, GPA wise, I know you guys are stickler on grades. What's
Yes,
the team GPA look like?
it's horrible. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't sugarcoat a thing. By the way, it's awful, and they know it's awful, and they know I took over last year, okay,
Yes,
and
yes.
it was not great. And the year that I was there, we didn't get much better. So we're gonna make some adjustments. To me, the most important thing is you getting this piece of paper. It changes lives,
Yes,
and
and I
so
couldn't agree with you
that's
more
number
on
one.
that.
And it gives you opportunities. You graduated 3.0, you got opportunities. You don't have to go to school if you want to, but you have the opportunity to go.
Hmm.
As somebody who got like one or two B's in college, I'm just not feeling it at all. So we're gonna work on that. Hit me up
Okay,
next year, and then we'll see
okay,
where we're at.
okay, okay. Now, since you're still new there, you're still building the culture, and I
Yes.
get that. So, do you like to go to AAU events, or how do you like to recruit? Because I always like to pick the brain of how D3 coaches recruit.
I'm scrappy. I like I guess how I like my teams to kind of be. I'm a scrappy recruiter, so yeah, I'll go to these events. That's more of a be seen. Make sure they see me there, but
Mhm.
I don't mind going to the middle of nowhere where the players never been seen, but they're balling, and I'll drive to wherever. That's not a problem with me. So I'm just scrappy. I'll listen and give everybody a chance, and um, if I like something, then I'm going hard for it. So
Oh, okay. So let me ask this. So I like that, number one. So are you big on, does Averett have it to where the prospects can fill out the recruitment questionnaires and
Yeah.
you take a look?
Yep. I will. When we get them, we get the email alerts. I'm having my assistants try to track down film, and we giving them a real shot. I read the emails. I'm doing that too. So we're getting these emails. We're going out to practices, lift conditionings. Even now, I'm not yet. They'll start soon. Fall leagues, all of it. I'm not afraid to go to anywhere or anything. I've gone to parks. I know when COVID was happening, I was at a lot of parks in the heat, sitting outside, but I was there, and so
Okay.
again, and my assistants are the same. It's just not a place that if we can make it work, we'll come see you. We'll figure it
Okay.
out.
I,
Yeah.
I like that. I know, for myself, I was in North Carolina and South Carolina. I was at some of the inside exposure events, and as well as I was
Yeah.
at Run for the Roses. Run for the Roses was insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, bang
It's a
for
good
your
one.
buck for a D3 coach,
Yeah.
I would do that because, I mean,
Yeah.
you get to see so many different players from
Yep.
D1, D2, D3 that actually fit. That makes sense because I know it's a budget thing for you. Like, I
Yeah.
know you can't go all over the country, but yeah,
Right.
those type. But thankfully, with inside exposure being right there, a lot of the other
Yeah.
stuff, and Rock Hill's not that far either.
No, we're in a
Those
great
are,
spot.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are
We're
good
like
spots
right.
for you to
There's a
have
lot
on the
here.
Average shirt and be like, hey, come to our school.
Right. Right.
But when you're actually at those type of events, I know you said you're looking for scrappy type of kids, but what type of kid for you is an Averett type of kid when you're out there on the recruiting trail?
Again, right now I'm young. I'm a young coach, a head coach. So I feel like I got a chip. I've got something to prove. I'm out here trying to make my dreams come true. So I'm looking for players like that, players who may have felt like they got pushed aside or forgotten. They got a chip on their shoulder already coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and they got some talent, and they're willing to work. They're not afraid of hard work. um, just my background and where I've come from. I've been homeless. I've done all of that. So for me, it's about overcoming all those obstacles and getting what we got to get done. So if we keep that mindset, that's the kind of kid I'm looking for, ready to work and not make excuses for this or that. That's kind of our motto this year, just no excuses, because we got something that we got to prove. Every single player I recruited is feeling that kind of way. So
Yeah.
that's how we're going with it. It might take some years to get where we want to go, but that's how we're approaching it.
Yeah,
Sure.
that takes time to build. I mean, for people to think that's going to happen in a year, that's
Yeah.
unrealistic. For
Yeah.
you to get the players and to get that culture built that
Right.
you're trying to get established, and
Right.
and that's going to happen in time. That's
Right.
that's just they have to buy into what you're trying to do. That's the
Right.
biggest thing.
Exactly.
Once
And
they
that
buy
takes time.
in, now it's a different story.
Right.
And so, what type of are you defensive minded? Are you offensive minded? What you tell me? What is an Averett style women's team?
That's such a good question. I mean, for me, I was born in the Midwest, right? So I
Okay.
have that half court, feed the post, fundamental. That's where I was raised. But as
Uh-huh.
coaching, I've been on the East Coast, and they like to get up and down. They like to
Yes,
let it
ma'am.
fly. So I'm kind of this weird hybrid of them. Like
Okay.
I have this expectation that we're really efficient in the half court, but then we gotta go. So I've got to find my balance. I'm working with finding my balance of letting them control themselves, but also demanding this half court be how I want it to be. But the player is definitely, we want to get up and down the court. That's not gone. I just want to be efficient in the half court, but who doesn't?
That's that's
They're
true.
athletic, smart, gritty, tough. Um, Hopefully they can shoot. That's, I mean, at the end of the day, I needed to go in the hoop. But we're gonna rebound. We got to rebound. I'm gonna let you let it fly, because I think young kids, young players today, they want the chance to be able to impact the game in that way, and it gives them
Mhm.
confidence when you let them grow offensively. That confidence, at least in the 10 years I've been coaching, I've seen that apply to real life. So I try to let offensively give them all. They all have a green light. We're just gonna work on the shots I want to be taken, right?
Understood. Definitely understood.
But yeah, so I grow that confidence. I'm gonna let you let it fly, but hey, you're gonna miss shots. That means you got to go get them. So we got to rebound. Defensively, I want to press. I like man to man. I don't want any excuses like you got to guard this person and you're boxing out this person. I think the game comes down to that. So that's a little bit of pride in our defense. I want to be scrappy and tough defensively and relentless offensively. So that's what we look like.
Okay. And I got to give you the question I give everybody because I hammer this home so much. How important is it for a young lady, whether it be JUCO or an incoming freshman, to know the defensive shell drill and know those principles since you said you play man?
I think that the more they know, the better. We start to recruit certain coaches, actually. Like, yeah, players are great, but we know we're going to hit certain schools because we know these coaches are teaching certain principles that apply to us, right? But I don't go into it thinking that everybody has gotten some of these principles.
Sure.
So we definitely start from scratch every year. But high schools play a lot of zone, and so we've got to break a lot of habits before we can really play man well. So honestly, I always anticipate players won't really get it until their junior year. I don't think it really starts to sink in until then. So
now, I got two questions that are, just from a curiosity standpoint. Would you ever redshirt a player?
D3, we technically can't redshirt, but there's ways around that. Would I redshirt a player for development purposes? Like if I were at a different level?
Yes, for development purposes. Yes.
D3, no, I wouldn't do that. But if I were up maybe in levels, I could see doing that. But hopefully I'm recruiting to my level. It would just depend. It would depend. Is this a person like, to me, I value rebounding. Is this person like an amazing rebounder and I just got to figure out how to get them to make some layups under the basket? Or, what does that look like? What is their secret power weapon on the court? And is that something I value greatly? And if that's the case, yes, I'll work with it. But I think people should also go where they can play, Why wait around? Life's too short.
That's a fit thing. That's
I agree. Thing. Let me rephrase, because I think in the men's game, I think there's some different things there, but I think there's just plenty of places you can find a fit.
Sure. Yeah. But if I want to come to Averett and you're loaded with seniors,
it depends.
Yeah, that's why I say it depends. You touched on something, and I thought this was so interesting as you were talking. You recruit JUCO.
I do recruit JUCO. It's not I wouldn't say it's our primary, and I think a lot of coaches, that's a preference thing again, too. I think there's some coaches who really have a connection with JUCOs, and that's their forte. I totally get it. I know why. They are definitely like huge asterisks, and I mean in the great way. Like they could be your X factor because they just bring in some experience. They have a little more development. They understand the pace of the game. So I love it. It's just not our primary. It's not our primary go-to. We have some good JUCOs and that we typically go to, and we're slipping through our hands to D2s a lot. So that's what happens. D2s or D1s. So
do you go to JUCO jamborees?
Yeah, my assistant that's his wheelhouse. He knows he's got all the connections, so he's often there. I mean, Lewisburg, Wake Tech. I mean, wherever he's at the championships, he goes to practices. That's his kind of area. I let him run that because he knows.
Okay. There. Oh yeah, you can grab some really good talent, and a lot of times with JUCO, that puts you right in the mix almost overnight.
Quickly too. Right. Yeah, exactly. You're right. You're absolutely
right. To me, I think it's always great to have a mix of JUCO and incoming freshmen, because sometimes with JUCO or even grad transfers, you can be good that 1 or 2 years, but if you have to always reload, and if you don't reload, That
Yep.
down year could be
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
I agree. I agree.
But in the same sentence, if you have that to where if you have it to where you're grooming that player, if you're sort of grooming that player, by the time she sees those JUCO kids and they've run it to where, oh, I understand I practice against high level kids, so by the time it's her turn, well, she's groomed and ready,
Right. Right.
she's
Yep.
groomed and ready.
Yep.
So I always look at it like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the JUCOs, but I'm for grooming those kids to come
Right.
up and have their turn as well.
And D3, you
Um,
have to be willing to develop. You got to be.
yes,
It's part of the game.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And, that's just one of those things where, that's what I love about D3 the most because, as we were talking backstage and I got to see Averett men play in the D3 first round, and they took Emory they took them all the way to the end. And when I
Yeah.
say that was a really good game, it
Yeah.
was awesome. And, I can't wait to see what you do.
Me too.
Like I said, this is year 2, and
Right.
I know there's going to be a lot of things you're changing that culture, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you do. But I know tonight I'm definitely going to tweet out the arena because I was thoroughly impressed. I was like, "There's no way." I was like, "I can name at
Yeah.
least 15 schools that are of a higher level that this is way better than." You know
It's
what
an
I mean?
amazing place. It's great to play in. Even when I played against Averett. So I used to play
Hmm.
against Averett when I was in college, and I feel like I had great games there. It was just like the lights are on, and it's
Hmm.
a great environment. And Meg, our AD, does a great job of keeping that running and up and staying pristine shape. So for sure.
Listen, number one, I want to thank you for coming on the show because I think it's beneficial that people understand that D3 basketball is not only a quality, you're getting a great education as well.
Yes.
And for
Yes.
people that want to extend their time past, if they're not a D1 or D2 player, you're still a dog if you play D3. There's some great
Yes.
players on the D3 level, but a
Yes.
lot of kids look at it like they're a failure because they went D3, and that's complete nonsense.
No, no, no. It's you get all the same things. We just don't have 8 coaches, and that eighth coach is telling you what candy
Yeah,
bar you got to drink or eat after the workout. We still are going to work out. You still got individuals. You still got all of those things. It's a wide. It's kind of a an awakening for some players. They don't realize that.
absolutely.
So I'd advise you to go to
Absolutely.
a practice. Yeah, come check us out
And
anytime.
that's a great. So in closing, I definitely want to touch that. So do you invite prospects to come watch
Yes.
your workout? Are they allowed to come and work out with the team or not?
They're allowed to come. They can come see us. Come see us. Come see us practice. I advise that. I advise that for any player wherever you're thinking of going, because you might come see me, coach them up in practice, and be like, "Nah, mom, she's crazy. She's crazy." And I want you. I don't want any surprises. So come on
I
and
got it.
see. You got to get
I
a
got it.
taste. So
Listen, thank you so much for coming on. This
no
won't be
problem.
your last time coming on. And like I said, the next time I'm in that area, I'm gonna definitely stop through
Yes.
Averett because I love that area right there. It was
Yes.
nice. It was real
Yes.
nice.
Come say
And
hi
definitely,
anytime.
oh, definitely. And good luck this upcoming season. I definitely want to see how you guys do, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll be talking real soon, okay?
All right, bet.
All right, you take care.
Yep, you too.
All right. Coach Driver, listen. I love when you have somebody, like you said, she has a tenacity and she has a chip on her shoulder and she's trying to show, listen, I belong here. And it's only her second year coming up, so I expect some big things from her. Man, our next guest, pride and joy of St. Louis, Missouri. I just was up there this past weekend. He throws a great event for talented prospects, and it's a situation where not only is it needed, it gives the state of Missouri the exposure that they need, and I'm always there for support. And it's turned into a first-class quality event. Now, it helps that you're a 13-year NBA vet as well, and you got your name behind it, and so people are going to come. But when I say this is something that is for the culture and it's a great event, and it's also, Recruit Look Hoops also helps run it as well. I definitely wanted to bring him on the show. We could talk about, what he has going on with his academy, his experience. But ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Mr. Larry Hughes. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Thank you for coming on to the show tonight, man. Listen, man, as I've been tweeting out all last night in the airport, man, congratulations on another great year and a great event at the Larry Hughes Elite Camp, man. Talent is there. What I want to see is the coaches, listen, coaches, you are missing out by, the talent that is at his event. And also the free game that you're given from your experiences, to me, that's what I was paying attention to. And now I understand I'm older, so but for kids, I always like to hit home, like, listen to what he's telling you, like, understand that this grind is going to be different for every one of you all. And I really like what you do every year up there. And now, just wanted to touch on that a little bit. What made you bring up this elite camp? What was the idea of that?
Well, it was really in partnership with Recruit Look,
Mm-hmm.
and I recognized what they were doing in the space. They weren't a shoe company; they were an independent league. And they
Mm-hmm.
were just giving kids a platform to go out and play
Absolutely.
basketball and be recognized. And then eventually they added all the media and things that they do now. But when they just started out, they were just trying to give kids an opportunity to come in and play that may have gotten pushed out of the shoe circuit. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was really partnering with those guys to now say, okay, we can make this legit by putting a former NBA player behind it. Give great instruction, and then we just kind of equal the playing field. And that's really what it was, is to
There you
give
go.
these other athletes an opportunity to experience, a camp that's really based on them and really based on promoting them in their journey, because it's a long journey, man.
Yes, it is. And you've given a lot of those guys great opportunities as well, because some of those guys come in not being heard of, and some of them leave with a name behind them, and they're starting to generate. Like, I can speak on that. Like, some of the guys that made the top 20, like, yeah, you've had some Power Five kids in there, but you also had some kids that people didn't know about. You had the RJ Leonard kid that was pretty good. You had the Christian Burnett kid. Um, the Ethan Foss guy, I like him. I like him as a catcher. He was one of the best catch and shoot shooters there, man. And I like how you paid attention to each one of them, and you were breaking down, whether it was a post player or whether it was a spot up shooter guy, was a point guard. You were just giving them that free game from, okay, this is what you need to work on. And you even took it to a point during timeouts to say, hey, young fella, work on your footwork down low for a post move. There were certain things when you pointed it out, I was like, I see exactly what he's talking about. But those are things that when they look at you, they tend to listen a little more, because they're saying, okay, he's been there, so obviously he must know what he's talking about. And I think that's great for what you're doing. And, that whole Larry Hughes Academy, man, that just expands the brand to see what you're doing there, man. So that Larry Hughes Academy that you have there, that's something that, I know it's something personal to your heart. What brought that out for you to do for St. Louis like that?
Well, really, it was the developmental piece of
Yeah.
giving and putting some structure and putting some standards to how we train and we develop our young people. And we wanted to come in and we wanted to program it. We wanted to give them a curriculum. We wanted to make sure that they had a place that they can come. So we built out a facility for them. It helps, man, to have those pictures on the wall of MJ and Bron and Allen Iverson, because it gives credibility to everything that I'm doing. When you're from a place and people can see you all the time, sometimes, they get used to you. But for us, in our area, man, being exposed and having, the things that we're bringing to the table, really organized, really, detailed, really, breaking things down for the young people. This is a treat for them. And I wanted to provide it for our area. One, to make sure that our kids are getting the best that they can get, but also is to develop them on the court and off the court. Because, like you said, they listen to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I've walked their shoes, right? I've made it to where they're trying to go. So my voice, is going to be a little bit louder than that coach, or or maybe mom or dad, just because I've been there and done that. So I try to give it all to them. They all come in, as a face and as a body. We strip away the names because those are the names of what gets ranked. So we're just really looking at, how they're moving, how they're playing basketball in any way that we can help, with the academy, but also with the elite camp as well.
Absolutely. And man, one of the things that that's people don't understand, and I'm very familiar with it. St. Louis has some good basketball. I mean, yes, you came through there. Jason Tatum came through there. Darius Miles came through there. There's been a plethora of good players that have come through St. Louis, but a lot of times some people don't know outside of that Midwest area. So with me coming from Atlanta, the first thing I said was like, man, St. Louis got some athletes. Like, we know about Chaminade and Rashawn, but it's more than just those two schools and those couple of players as well.
Well, basketball is getting way. I mean, it's expanded, man. So, I mean, more kids are playing. It's not just in, the St. Louis city, St. Louis County, but, even right across the water, East St. Louis, Illinois.
Yes,
so, I mean, it's really, really close. And for us, we kind of take advantage of now we're taking advantage because of the media and the content, and the world has become much smaller, but we're in the middle. So when people are having these events and these exposure camps and these clinics and things like that, they're either crossing over us or they're coming, into the Midwest, because that's the midpoint. So I think
Mm-hmm.
what we're going to start doing now is really, taking advantage of the exposure, but also taking advantage of the competition. When we get those guys coming in from the West Coast or from the southern states or whatnot. So I think it's our advantage now because the world is so small, and it's not like it was back when we were playing. It's like the Midwest was almost like an island. Like, people didn't know what is that? They knew East Coast, they knew West Coast. So I like where we're at now. You mentioned a bunch of great names that's coming out. You had Bill and David Lee and Jason out of Chaminade and Tyler
Mm-hmm.
Cook, and it's just a number of guys that we even got in college right now that are from the area. That are trying to make that next step. So, I'm one of those older guys. So, I'm promoting and pushing all those guys to try to make it to where they want to go.
Yeah, and let me ask you this: have you ever thought about a high school showcase in that area? Like, because you're right, like you said, as we're even talking, that just hit me like, boy, St. Louis could get Louisville, Chicago, Memphis, Tulsa, Oklahoma City. Those are all easy drives there. And as I thought about it, I said, man, that wouldn't be a bad area to have a high
Yeah.
school showcase, a tip off or a Christmas tournament, something to that extent. And again, Larry Hughes Invitational Showcase Tip Off Classic. I think that would be great to have it for that area because it brings even more exposure of, like you said, for that Missouri and St. Louis area.
No, you're right. You're right. And we're actually working with with the Iverson Classic, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, with Darius Miles, and we want to do a
Yes.
game here in December. Actually, December 2nd and December 3rd is the dates that we're working with. So you're
Okay.
completely right. It's now the world is small, so these little pods and where you have talent, try to bring in all those teams into the Midwest is what we're going to try to do. But the landscape, how it is now. We got the prep schools, and we also have the
Yes.
NIBC schools. So, kids are transferring all the time. So teams are waiting to see what their real schedule is going to look like. So it's fun, you know what I'm saying? Because I understand the game. I see where all these kids are trying to go. But you're right, man. It's to always want to bring things back to the backyard, showcase not only the city, but the people, you know what I'm saying, the environment. And it makes for a good event.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, speaking of one of those preps, actually, one of the top preps now is Link Year out of Missouri. Link Year's tough now, and they've built that into something of a national presence now. So, yeah, they're going to get some of them St. Louis kids every now and then, especially the top ones because of that name they bring and that exposure piece. So they're playing that national schedule. They're playing the Oak Hills. They're playing the IMGs. They're playing the NETSAC schools. They're playing pretty much high quality teams all over the country. So, like when me and you were coming through, you played for your high school and, that's what it was. You played AAU, of course, but, the idea of you going to, yes, we had Oak Hill back then, but, it wasn't to where you knew you were just going to go to Oak Hill because, man, your journey was even different as well. Like, I remember you going to St. Louis and I was like, why is he going there? And it was a great fit for you. I mean, not only was it a great fit, it got you to where you were trying to go. So it killed the misconception, like if he didn't go to Missouri, Michigan, something of that extent, Oklahoma State, that you weren't going to make it. And you proved that. So you gave that mid-major field a chance. So now kids out of the MAC conference or the Missouri Valley can go to the league now.
Oh yeah, I think that's dead, man. It's so many kids that are playing, and so many kids that are hitting growth spurts at this time. I even asked the guys in the camp, I'm like, you guys remember the number 1 7th grader in the country? You guys were in 7th grade. It's like he's probably not the number 1 player at this time just because of all the things that happened, all the new kids that may play, the kid that may convert from soccer to basketball or from volleyball to basketball. Like, you don't know these kids. So by the time you're 17, 18, 19, there's new kids that are added into the fold. So I think just your ability to play, your ability to have mental focus, your ability to strategize within the game, those are the things that are going to make you, if you're aspiring to be a pro. It's not going to be where you went to school or, what sort of academy you attended. It's going to be your ability to process the information that's going to make you a professional, whether it's in the NBA, across the seas, whether it's, our professional teams that we have, here. That's what's going to get these kids to where they want to go.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because now we're talking work ethic and how to get there. A lot of the kids don't understand what it takes to get there. A lot of them think, oh, if I put up 100 shots, I'm good. Or I put up 150 shots and, I run some suicides, I'm good to go. No, you got to work on your whole overall game. And that's the misconception is, you brought it up as well. And they were talking about that yesterday as well. Everybody's not going to score 20 or 25 points as you move up in levels. You have to understand, you have to find your niche and what works for you and how you can be a benefit to the team. Because if everybody was trying to score 30 points a game, number one, that's going to be bad basketball. Number two, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work because then you're talking 150, 170 point games. And we know that's beyond rare. But it's what can Larry Hughes do to survive 13 years in the NBA? Obviously, he's doing something right. Obviously, he got there and processed the information, like you said, to know, okay, I know now I'm here in the league. To continue to stay here in the league, I have to do X, Y, and Z to stay here because I know my time will be limited, correct?
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's what separates, the elite players from all the other players that are good players. I mean, your ability to process the information that you're getting. So when we talk about things that happen on the court, your ability to next play, process those things. And if we're talking, in a camp setting, if you have 50 kids there, it's probably 4 kids that are going to process that information for the next play. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about where these kids are trying to go, it's not the end of the world for the other 53 kids, but they have some work to do. And that's what we try to get across to them is like, it's if you're trying to make it to that end goal of being a professional, you got to process information.
And that's the biggest thing. And, of course, yes, training is very important because let's not be, misconceptions on this. You have to go to where people can break down certain drills that fit your style of play. There's some guys, yes, they're fit to be a post guy. There's some guys that are fit to be guards. There's very few guys that are post and wing players at the same time. I mean, yes, that's great, but you have to find somebody that can hone in on your skills and train you to take you to that next level. Like, I look at Bradley Bill Elite, what they're doing, their work speaks for themselves. Bradley Bill Elite, like they're turning out players, and they're turning out those St. Louis kids, and they're putting them in high majors, mid majors, and that's the whole goal of this as well. So obviously, they must have a really good trainer over there. Who I don't know, but I always look at the results, and the results is, of course, Bradley Bill has that mentality because it's all on Twitter. Watching his mentality of what separates him, what makes him really elite. And it looks like he passes that on to his program and the kids and that whole, shoe team. And it's impressive as well, which also makes St. Louis look good as well.
Well, I think that's our job, right? I think that's Brad's job is being Brad maybe 27 maybe now, but that's his job as to being not too far removed from the kids that are in his program to tell them, how tough it is. It's my job to talk to them about, when we were playing, back in the style of play, so they could start to understand and start to say, okay, well, it was this way then, but it's this way now. So when you're going to train and you're going to work out, you can add those different pieces of your game, right? Because we watch kids all the time and we say, oh, well, he's not aggressive enough. He didn't play in the schoolyard. But you have to be put in that environment to bring those certain things out. And it's up to me, to bring that style of basketball out because I was in that style. Where Brad is now, it's important for Brad to really communicate the style of basketball that he's in. You know what I'm saying? Like today, it's like open space. You got to be able to shoot the basketball. You know what I'm saying? Corner threes are very important. You can be a 3-and-D guy. You don't have to be play every position. There's spots for you, within the new basketball game today. So I think that's his job now. So I think we're doing our jobs as St. Louis guys, so we can make sure that we have more and more St. Louis guys to keep churning the wheel.
Man, and I couldn't agree with that more. And I think it's important for it, and you see it a lot more now, and I commend a lot of the former pros now. You see them start to give back as well. I've had Mo Spates on the show, and he's big at giving back as well. He runs a post-grad, he runs the AAU program, and I think when you start to see stuff like that, Bonzi Wells is another one. You start to see a number of them, and as I'm out, when I see you guys, like people like, well, how do you approach them? I'll be like, they're everyday people. You guys are looking at them from an NBA perspective. I'm looking at them from a basketball and knowledge perspective, and they're pouring their heart into these kids. And that's where you have to love and respect because, as we all know, it takes a village to get these kids to where they're trying to go. And, what you're doing there, with this elite camp. And another thing I wanted to talk about that was impressive that Recruit Look, put me on to is what one or two of those kids will get an invite to the Allen Iverson Classic. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we didn't necessarily want to announce it. We were kind of going back and forth on whether we should, make that announcement or not, just because you know how it plays into the psyche of the kids, and then they get out of character, and then you can't reel them back in, even though that they're a really good player. So you want to see what their natural habitat is going to be. How are they really going to, go out and play without anything really on the line? So, but we partnered with, like I said, the Iverson Classic, and it is just to give these young people a platform for them to perform. And they will get the opportunity to compete in, I believe it's a 24K game. Bobby Bates is adding, new events and new experiences for these young players, every year. So we'll see how that shakes out. But the Recruit Look staff and I will identify, I think a couple kids that should get an opportunity to move up, and go experience that camp as well.
And listen, I definitely look forward to that. I'll be there to cover that. I'm a staple. I met you last year, but every time your camp comes, I pretty much put that second week of August. I know what it is because I know the type of kids that are going to be there. And, you know, like I said, you're going to have kids there. Like one kid had already signed with Purdue. One kid committed
Yeah,
to Iowa
the
State.
roster is nice, man. The
Yeah,
roster is nice. Even we go back a few years before pandemic. I mean, recruit look.
yeah,
I mean, we've done some really good things as far as it just being a platform for these kids to go out. And I haven't really seen like the full list of players that have gone off to, quote unquote, the big name schools. But, I see highlights of a lot of kids, at
that
Duke
played in
and at
your event.
UCLA
Yeah,
that came through the event. So it's cool for me, man, just to see. And like this year, I passed out my phone number to all of the kids in the camp,
yes, you
just
did.
as a here, you know what I'm saying? Just, if you need anything, whether just a different voice or perspective was one of our keys in camp. I'm willing to give you that perspective, and give you that, what I can give you. So we did that. So yeah, man, it's getting cool to see, it's obviously as I get, more removed from the game, been out in NBA 10 years, just to see these young people come up and now end up in college and now, ending up in the NBA is wild.
Yeah, but it speaks to what you're doing. You're doing it the correct way. And that's why I say I'm always an advocate for anything that's being done the right way. And you know what? I probably will get with Jarrell because I'm curious myself to see how many guys have come through there and kind of where are they
Yeah.
now type deal.
Yeah.
And really, I wouldn't mind putting that together for next year for you guys to say, hey, this kid was here in 20 or 21. This kid was here in 22, and to see where they're at. Because, like I said, the couple of the kids that I saw, I was going to say, hey, man, I know you're getting some type of, oh, coach, I already committed. I was, oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. But it speaks to the level of talent that's there, man. And, it's not a walk in the park there. I mean, it's a grueling 2 days, which ends with the top 20 game. And, man, I couldn't be happier for you, brother, just to see what you're doing there because I'm looking at this like it's needed in more than just St. Louis. It's needed in a bunch of other cities as well. It's probably needed in Kansas City. It's probably needed in a bunch of other places, especially Midwest, because the exposure piece is still catching up there. And, yes, St. Louis is starting to get on the map from an exposure standpoint. They're already there from a, like I said, with Bradley Beal's team, everybody knows who they are. But that exposure piece is slowly starting to get there. But I'd like to see more Midwest teams, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Kansas City. I want to see more camps where, I don't know what pros are from those areas, but I'll call out on them to say, man, give back to these kids because you never know how you can touch a life like you're doing and possibly change it. Who knows, like maybe in 4, 5, or 6 years, they may come back to you and be like, Coach, you remember me coming to your camp? You may remember, you may not, but it's the fact that you touched that life without you having to broadcast it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's all about the young people. Like it's all about the
Yeah.
young people, and that's what I see a lot of our former players, and even now guys getting involved with coaching. So I see a lot of guys with the thought process of giving back to the next generation. So just you got to do it the right way. There's a bunch of events and a bunch of things that go on. So it's just a matter of like really making sure that people know what the quality events to go to, and it's nothing. It's not a lot of camps that are and clinics that are going to be better than a former professional basketball player. You think of going to a surgeon. If you go into medical school, right? You learn from the best. So when guys get together or guys put on events, you really want to pay attention because there's some really good knowledge and some really good insider information that comes out of these camps and clinics when a lot of people can't give you. So that could be your advantage that you take it and run with it. So that's what I have to say about that is just be aware of, the things that you go to because that's very important what you allow to enter to your circle and how you play basketball and why you play basketball.
And so I'm going to leave on this one last question, man, and it's a pick your brain question. For the younger kids that don't know, you played with Jordan, Iverson, and LeBron. What did you take away from playing with all three of them?
Well, Jordan, obviously, I played with him later on in his career. I was a fan of his, met him many times, growing up, obviously, in St. Louis. But for him, when I played with him, I watched how he conducted himself with the media. I watched how he prepared himself before games, going into the training room, and the time that he allocated to get out on the court to get a few shots up. So those are things that I took away when I went on, into Cleveland after DC. Allen, I played with AI, that toughness, playing hard. You get knocked down, you get up off the floor, you don't complain, you make your presence felt, you be who you are. That's what I learned from him. And Bron was a younger guy when I played with him in Cleveland. But what I took from him is to be a student of the game and not just rely on your physical abilities. I mean, this guy, 6'8". When I was playing with him, he probably was 275 when we played together. Mm-hmm. And his brain was even bigger. He would talk to everybody on the plane. He would talk to everybody on the bus, picking your brain about this situation, that situation. Not just the starters, but the 13, 14 player on the team, just to get that insight. So I take away, playing with Bron was his insight, AI, his toughness, and just MJ, his whole persona, his whole glow on how he carried himself.
Man, listen, man, I can't thank you enough, man. You already know I support what you're doing up there. That's a yearly thing for me, man. And man, keep doing what you're doing, man. I love what you're doing up there, man. And congratulations, brother. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me on, man. You doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? We talked on was it on Sunday?
Yeah.
Set it up for Monday. We jump on, get it done. You on time, I'm on time. We knock it out and get it done, baby. I appreciate you.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you too, man. Pretty much I'll definitely be seeing you next year as usual, man. And we'll talk. We're definitely going to talk before that, man, because whatever Darius is doing in December, man, whatever I can do to help, man, just reach out, man. I'll come cover it, man.
Will do.
All right, appreciate brother. We'll talk real soon, man. I appreciate you, man. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Larry Hughes, man, listen, for you young guys that are watching this, man, always soak up the game he's given. Prepare yourself before games. Actually work on the stuff that matters because, listen, a dunk is a dunk, and that's great, but you're only going to get a dunk probably, if you're lucky, once a game. But people have to understand the importance of all of this as well. When you're getting knowledge from a professional that has played it and lived it and played with some of the greats, don't be afraid if you're in their presence. Pick their brain. Ask questions. Ask what it is out here. Ask what can you do to get better. Ask them, what did you observe in my game that I need to work on? Listen, when you have somebody like that, that's right there, that can give you that type of knowledge, take advantage. By all means, take advantage. Man, our next guest, man, I'm so happy for him. An AAU guy, which is now an assistant coach at Western Kentucky. Definitely proud of the moves he made. He was a staple in the girls' side for AAU, and now he's taking his talents to Bowling Green, Kentucky. I want to welcome Coach Mike Moses. How you doing today, brother?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, man. I can hear you. Man, so, man, first of all, congratulations, man. That was big for you to get the Western Kentucky job, man. And, I just want to see, you going to Western Kentucky. I mean, you were very well connected on the AAU side. You know all the girls programs from EYBL to Under Armour to Adidas. What made you make the move, man?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Let me start with saying this, Dave. This is crazy doing a podcast with you, following up Larry Hughes, man. I was a big Larry Hughes fan, man. Like, I mean, the followers and the people that's watching this need to know, man. Like that's huge, man. What Larry Hughes is doing down there, and he just dropped some gems on those guys, man. And I definitely took notes myself, man, because I grew up watching them. So I definitely appreciate him. But what made me make the move, man? I just feel it was time. I did a pretty good job, like you said, at AAU. which I'm more proud of my high school, what I did in high school.
Mhm.
My high school team was my pride and joy, was my heart. And I was able to get the opportunity to go on and do the AAU thing on the EYBL circuit, which is the biggest stage in the country.
Absolutely.
And, last year, last summer, the Carolina Flames, we went to the Final Four at the Peach Jam. And I just think that opened up a lot of eyes. And I just really appreciate those opportunities, man. And it was just time. And I use the analogy, a train doesn't always pull in the station, right? So when it pulls in the station, if you want to get on it, sometimes you got to get on it because there ain't no telling if it's going to come back. So, I had this opportunity to advance and move on in my career. And, and I took it. And, growing up, I was always a guy, my dad played at St. John's and he coached at Rutgers and Georgetown. And, all up 95, I'm a New York guy. And my dream was always the coach, man, So I always wanted to be a college coach. The NBA was cool, but at some point in time, you realize like, okay, I'm just going to be a solid college basketball player, right? And I'm going to move on. And, my dream job was to be a college basketball coach, man. And when it presented itself for me, I couldn't turn it down. And so that's why I moved on, man. It was a tough decision, whether people believe it or not. I went back and forth with it for some time. And, it was just time. I had a conversation with my immediate circle of friends and family, which isn't that big. And, it was just time, and for a couple of years, it was chatter about, me leaving and taking a college job when it wasn't true yet. So, I appreciate that because other people saw, my abilities and my talent and thought I should, move on and thought I would be an asset moving on. So, that, like I said, that train came in the station, man, and it was hard to turn it down, man. So, I'm here today.
Hey, listen, man, I'm happy for you, man. I'm definitely happy for you, man. I know you're going to do big things at Western Kentucky, but man, now that you're an assistant coach, you're on the other side. So I can't wait to see you on some of the circuits now. So when you go out there, because the Flames are a high quality program.
Yes.
What are you going to be looking for? I mean, because I know now you're going to be at EYBL, you're going to be at Under Armour, you're going to be at Adidas.
Right.
What you're going to be looking for to say that's a Western Kentucky player right there?
Just a dog, man. And I think that no matter what level you're on, you want to coach dogs. You want to coach girls and guys that are going to go out there and compete. That's going to play hard, give you few like no excuses, so I'm going to be out there looking for kids that play hard, and then we break into the basketball thing on what my coach is looking for, my head coach is looking for. If we're looking for a big that can shoot it, that can put it on the floor, I think all that comes secondary to finding a kid that plays hard, and that's a dog. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, from even while I'm in this assistant coaching seat, and because I have dreams of being a head coach, when I move 18 inches over to the head coach's spot, right, which will be one day, because that's the goal, right? I'm going to tell my assistants, we want dogs, and I'm going to take the kid that's going to go out there and play hard, that want to get better, and that may sometimes be a little less talented right now at that stage than the kid that everyone's recruiting. Because the kid that, if the kid that everyone's recruiting that has more talent, if I think that they're soft or they don't play hard, or if I'm looking at their body language on the floor or how they interact with their teammates, their coaches, and if I don't like it, then I'll pass on that kid. I don't care I don't care how good the kid is, because, those things breed problems in your program. And, now this is a business, right? So you can't put the kid in that's going to get you fired, because this is how you feed your family, right?
Absolutely.
I got a son and a daughter, and, I'm not jeopardizing nothing coming off my plate for my kids because I brought in a kid that wasn't going to work hard, that eventually got me and my staff fired. So, that's really what I'll be looking for when I go out there. And the AAU thing helped me greatly, man, because I was able to see so much talent, right?
Yeah.
And every weekend, just you're seeing the best of the best, man. Like this past summer, I coached against Sarah Strong 3 times. She's from North Carolina.
Yeah.
She's probably one of the best players that I've seen. And she's a 25.
24, 25. Yeah. With Lady Strong, right?
Yeah, with Lady Strong.
Yeah.
Against Malaysia Fuwali, who I think is the best player in the country out of South Carolina. So, just to see that talent and to line up against that talent, it just opens your eyes to, what's out there and, what I'm going to be looking for next summer when I get on the road.
Man, and just to piggyback off of what you just said, and I got to watch you guys play Team Takeover, brother, and I was like, oh, my goodness. Man, and I've already I knew about the Carolina Flames, and I knew Takeover was good. But, man, I was on my phone like, hey, man, you got to see Team Takeover. I was like, this is probably one of the top teams in the country right here.
Right. And this is the thing. So the Flames team that I coached this year was our Nike team. It wasn't our EYBL team, right?
Gotcha.
We played Team Takeover with our Nike team, which is most of our players that are getting recruited mid-majors,
yes,
D2 kids, and they just dogs, man. And yes, bar none, that Team Takeover team had more talent. I mean, they walking around with 2 Olympians, and they play hard. They're kids from North, so those Philly, Jersey, DC kids. They have a different mentality.
Yeah.
And I was proud of my girls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coach Moses, let me say this: by no means did you all come in there like, oh my, like you were overwhelmed. They came to play. I loved that game. That game was all that right there.
Right. And the thing is, man, I credit that all summer and to guys like Percy from LBI. Like every LBI event we went to, it didn't matter that we would have kept the Nike team or the so-called B team. We had heat every single time, man. When we get the schedule for Percy's events, we were playing Fairfax EYBL team. We played Sarah Strong and them. We were prepared all summer. And I was laughing with a college coach in the summertime, and I was like, if they did this thing off of RPI, we probably top 3, right? And so that prepared us for the summer, man. And like I said, just being in the EYBL, which I think is the greatest basketball league in AAU, and I could be biased, but I think on the men's and the women's side, it's phenomenal, So,
definitely.
I'm extremely blessed. I'm appreciative of Arnie Morris for trusting me with his program, because this is a guy that started the Carolina Flames, and they were, a rec team, and he built it up, and he's had players go to high major year after year after year, and then they were able to get an EYBL contract. So this guy trusted me to lead in his program, and then last year him giving me the EYBL team, and him just sitting he was an assistant coach. He just helped me out. Him trusting me with that program speaks measures for his leadership, because a lot of people are selfish, man. This AAU thing is full of ego.
Yes, it is.
Right? So these are my kids. This is my program.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it my way. Arnie
instead of R.
Exactly, man. It's a lot of I guys, man. And Arnie saw with that team last year, he thought that I was a better fit for the personality of the team. And he allowed me to coach that team. And we went on and did great things. And, I'm really appreciative to him, because honestly, man, he put me in a position to kind of get on that stage and showcase, and the girls showcase their talent, because I didn't make a basket, turn the ball over. I didn't do anything. I just kind of motivated the girls, but, I'm appreciative of him as well.
So, and I think it's going to be so wild to see you next year, whether it's at Run for the Roses or any of the big events, because I feel like you've had the cheat code for all these years to see, the Flames they're a blue blood. That, I always say certain programs are like blue blood of AAU. Like when I think of the Flames, when I think of the Western PA Bruins or the WVA Thunder, Cy-Fair, Kentucky Premier, Jason Kidd Select. I mean, of course, I could go on. And for you guys I didn't name, Don't slay me tomorrow over that, because all of y'all deserve recognition. I just went with a couple off the top of my head. And man, for you to have, like you said, that type of experience, my gosh, from a recruiting standpoint, it's almost like you're gonna be spoiled because your expectations gonna be so high.
Yeah, and you know and you're right, man. And it's crazy you said that, because I used that exact word today, like it's a cheat code. I did an interview today with the newspaper back at St. Paul's, and that's what I told Chris Styles, man. I told him that it's kind of a cheat code, because I'm calling these AAU directors, right? Because they already know who I am.
Exactly.
I'm with them, right? So I've gotten a chance to build genuine relationships with those AAU guys. So they know it's not phone calls, like just from us traveling every week together, us checking on each other, us being in the same restaurants and eating, like, hey, y'all got team takeover tomorrow? Oh, it's gonna be tough. And, you know, like, those relationships in itself, when I'm calling these guys now, they're almost laughing. Like, and so I called Boo Williams. I called the staff today, and it's just like they're laughing, like, bro, come on, man. So I'm like, just let me get through my spiel, man. I'm like, hey, how you doing, coach? This is Mike Williams. They're like, boy, get off my phone, man. Get out of here with that. So, you know, the path that I've taken, and it's been hard, man, because I've been wanting to be on this level, whether it was on the girl side or the inside, right? I've been wanting to be on this level, but you know, I'm reminded constantly by my close family that, you know, my path was my path. And
absolutely,
if I take this path, right, you know, you starting all over from relationships, you know, and you know, I like to use the phrase, like, I took the stairs, and, you know, some people get to take the elevator, you know, but I took the stairs, and with taking the stairs, when you finally get to the top or your destination, whatever floor you want to get on, like, you appreciate the journey. You're in shape because your legs burning, right? and you're ready to work, man. So, you know, I've come to really appreciate my journey in this basketball game. You know, it's been plenty of times that, you know, I've been emotional about it. I felt like I should have been certain places. And, you know, sometimes you look at other people and you look at what they're doing and you judge yourself off of that. But, you know, Godspeed is everything. And, you know, like I said, it's been a blessing. This year has been a blessing, and I'm thankful for Coach Collins for believing in me and trusting in me and giving me this opportunity. Coach Collins and Coach Jazz, and, you know, we have a tremendous staff here. Like, I come to work every day now, and I'm side by side with Tamika Johnson. She's a legend, right? Tamika Johnson, you know, SEC Hall of Famer, LSU Hall of Famer, WNBA Rookie of the Year. Like, you know, this is a blessing, man. And I come to work every day. This is Disney World for me.
Because Tamika was a high school coach as well, wasn't she?
Coached high school last year back in
in New Orleans, right?
New Orleans, yep.
Yeah.
And I'm here with her, and I see Tamika every day, man. And Tamika still can play. Let's put that on record. A couple of weeks ago, last week she gave our girls the blues. All right. But, you know, it's just I come in here every day, and, you know, Jazz Bowen, she's our associate head coach. She was a standout at Arkansas, you know. So, you know, this is like a dream come true. Not like, this is a dream come true. And I'm coming to work every day, literally walking into Disney World, man.
And, man, you know, I always say this, man, you know, because people always look at me, they be like, Dave, you're all over the place. You know, you're in St. Louis, you're in Atlanta, you're in Houston, you're in Pittsburgh, you're in Charlotte. You just said it. You just summed it up best, man. If it's something you love to do, man, this isn't work, man. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I genuinely love this. Like, I get a chance to see all you guys play. Like, you know, when I got the chance to see you play, I was down there to see my guy, John Tate. You know, I hadn't seen him in years.
Right.
You know, so, you know, and I get to see the Adidas events. I get to see the EYBL events. I get to see the Under Armour events. And the thing I love about the girls more than anything, and boys, I'm calling you out on this, you get to see cross matchups for shoes more on the girls' side.
For sure.
That's the thing I love the most. Like, you'll see an Under Armour team play an EYBL team. You'll see an Adidas team play, you know, Under Armour or EYBL team. And don't get it twisted. There are some very good independent teams too. And I want to see how you handle that now that you're in that space, because you know all the shoe guys, but now you're gonna have to touch some of those independents because there are some. Whew,
Right.
and I want to see how I want to see are you going to pull up to. I know you're going to go to inside exposure events. I know you'll be at War Games or something like that, or you'll be down in New Orleans. Like they have great events, but I want to see. Because the first thing I said when I saw you got that job, I said, "Oh, they're gonna be loaded up with shoe folks."
Man, it's crazy that you say that, because for me, like I said, like I mentioned, Sarah Strong's team, the Strong Center, they're not a shoe team, right?
Yeah,
You just got one of the best players in the country, and Danny Strong, which is Sarah's dad, he's the director. He not running from no smoke, man. He don't care if you EYBL, Adidas, the Under Armour. He doesn't care, man. And and you're absolutely right. That's the difference between girls AAU and boys AAU. You can find top players on non-shoe shoe sponsored teams, man. And and again, they're doing crossovers. Like we play Team Curry. We play Team Curry every year because it's a big thing, the Flames versus Team Curry.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And Ashley does a great job with Team Curry. My hats off to her. But like when we play them, that's EYBL versus Under Armour. And and the beautiful thing about it, it's not about, and at the end of the day, is you want the EYBL team to win, the Under Armour they want, but they're not running from it.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So we're gonna play against Malaysia Fuwali and all of her Under Armour on, and we just gonna line up and we're gonna match up and see what it is. And at the end of the day, man, it's no beef. We lose, we win. I give Ashley a hug. Ashley hug our kids. Malaysia, I love Malaysia Fuwali. All them girls. They had Amaya Joyner last year and Journey McDaniels. Like at the end of the day, man, it's for these kids. And yes, you get good battles out of them, but I think it's more hostile on the guy side. It's more ego involved than basketball, right? So you got to put and I've been on the men's side, and I'm a Detroit guy. I bleed. I love the family. That was my AAU team, but
Oh, you're a Detroit guy. Okay, I went to Toledo, so I know all about Detroit.
I played for the family with Coach Speedy Walker, and I still follow him, and my best friends are leading the program. But on the men's side, it's a lot of ego, and if they strip that ego and just make it about basketball, we'll get better summer events, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more about that. And and even to touch on what you're saying, the ego takes away, because then you get teams, quote unquote, that don't want the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're, quote unquote, trying to protect their brand. And man, this is supposed to be pure. Like that's why I made sure I mentioned that. I love the fact that the EYBL teams will play other circuits. They'll play independents. And it's like, strap up, let's get it.
Let's get it, man. And that's good. And and again, I mean, we keep saying it, but that's the beautiful thing about on the women's AAU side. And hats off to Nike and Under Armour and the rest of they're starting to pour more into the women's game. They're giving more gear. The only Under Armour team I see consistently is Team Curry, and they have tons of gear, but because it's Steph Curry's team. And he's the face of Under Armour. But I just enjoy seeing these young women get what they deserve. Had a big thing at the EYBL thing last year. Janaea Barker, if I'm saying her name right, she posted about the gear that Nike gave out compared to the guys. And we were all at the same place. That's why it was noticeable. And they had so much stuff. And Nike gave us a little bit of stuff, and we walking around and we see the guys with 3 and 4 pairs of shoes, warm, different jogging suits. And Nike did, emergency rush us some shoes because it went viral. But you know, as long as these shoe companies continue to pour into these girls, man, I'm gonna be happy with it.
And you know, there's one other thing, man, and I'm glad you just mentioned that. One other thing that you know, I look at this. Don't get me wrong, Run for the Roses was awesome. There was some great media outlets, but I don't think the media exposure is quite there yet on the girls' side. I love covering the events. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like more can be done on the women's side for media.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I agree with you. But it's consistent, you know, it's consistent
Yeah.
all the way down, man. From the WNBA to college to AAU. And Rome wasn't built in a week, right? So
That's true.
I think it's continuing to be better. We're asking for certain things for the women's game, and you know, it's slowly coming along. But you know, on the guy side, AAU, it took a minute to get this type of exposure. You know, so
That's true too.
you know, I believe that in the future, like these kids that's coming up now that are, you know, 8th grade, 7th grade, you know, 6th grade. I think the girls. I think that they're going to be in better situations than the girls that are playing now, and that's just how things go. You know, things get better with time. My daughter's in the 8th grade, and I'm hoping that, you know, her experience when she gets to 10th, 11th grade in the EYBL or wherever she's playing at, I hope that she's able to get a more like television exposure and, you know, and things like that. But, you know, we're starting to see more mixtapes of girls, and the world is on notice, man. There's some special women basketball players. They special, man. And, you know, the athleticism is it looks different than guys because it's not always vertical. But man, there's some athletic girls, man, that make plays, that move that move laterally and chase you down, get a block.
Mm-hmm.
May not be off the backboard, but you got to think of, like, you got to see you know, you look at the full play. Like, you know, a girl goes for a steal, doesn't get it, chase another girl down, block the shot. You know, like, that's athleticism. Whether
Yes, it is.
you want to say it is or not, you know, you're not going to get a block off the backboard a lot. And some girls do that, but, you know, you're not going to get that every time. But, you know, girls are just as athletic. It's just not as high, you know?
Yeah. And listen, now we're talking about the purity of the game, because one of the things I always say is the girls are more fundamentally sound. The guys go off of athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a purist with all of this, you love the girls' game because they break it down. And even for guys, and I said this because I have no shame in saying this, I learned better watching the girls run sets.
Yeah.
Because when I was coming up, the girls and the boys for both of our teams ran the same sets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I was coming up, you know, the guys cheat because they're athletic.
Mm-hmm.
So they can skip a couple steps.
Right.
The girls are going to run it to perfection.
Yeah.
How you tell them to run it is how they're going to run it.
Yeah.
And as you start to see it, you're like, oh, okay, I see it. Now I see, because, you know, he may say you do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, the guys may do 1, 2, and go to 5, and they go into the basket.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you didn't understand it yet, or if you're not to that point athletically, you're like, wait, how do you do 3, 4? But, you know, he already got it down because he's ahead of you, and you're like, okay, I got to figure this out. So whether you go and do it on your own, or, you know, it was just by chance. I was watching the girls, and I was like, oh, that's the same thing we do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see and the result was the same. You know, they still got a backdoor basket, or they got, you know, whatever, an open shot, but they ran the play to perfection.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I really started to love watching the girls play, because I was like, okay. Like, I can watch the game now, and even when I commentate games, I almost know from the rip the set they're running, what they're getting ready to do. Look for this, look for this, look for this. This was getting ready to happen. Bam. And people are like, how do you know? I'm like, man, I've watched this so much. And you, of course, as you know, you get accustomed to certain sets, and people just run variations off of them. And you're like, oh. And from the girls' side, you can see it like perfectly because they run them flawlessly.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, as a coach, if you coaching girls and you have somewhat talented girls, and you're an X and O's guy, you're gonna
Yes.
look like a genius, man.
Yes.
Like you said, run your stuff. I have a play that I run everywhere. It's like a delusion play, and it turns into like a backdoor. We get it so much because the girls are gonna execute it
Yes.
exactly how it needs to be done. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie. That what we're talking about is a gift and a curse, because
Yes.
sometimes you want your girl, like you said, you know, A, B, C, D, right? We're trying to go through, but sometimes you can get that same result if you go through B. Like, you know, like you don't have to run it exactly. And as a coach, when you coach women's basketball, you have to tell your girls that.
But
Like-
see, you're talking read and react, though. That's what you're talking. You're talking read and react.
Uh-huh.
And yes, to an extent, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I like the methodical part, but I get what you're saying because, you know, to your point, like when you guys were playing Takeover, it was like a chess match. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it comes down to, you know what? When people say a lot of times, like in those type of games, they'll say Coach Moses got out coached or Coach Moses out coached that person.
Uh-huh.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you can like. You guys are going through so much stuff. You're on the clipboard. I mean, you guys are thinking like quarters ahead, not minutes ahead.
Mhm.
You're thinking, okay, this game's going to come down to this. We got to do X, Y, and Z. We got to do this, and this because I see the way this game is going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're thinking like that.
Right.
And like with me sitting on the sideline, I'm watching and I'm like, oh, I like even when I'm tweeting out, I can pretty much say, oh, this game is going to come down to the end. You can see they're going to make adjustments. Yes, they made a run. They're up 5 or 10. Watch Coach Moses make an adjustment and watch they come back. And I was verbatim. My next tweet is, as I said previously, they made adjustments and now they're back in the game.
Yeah, and when you're coaching, when you're coaching girls on that level, that's what it comes down to. And,
Yes.
And you can tell who's coaching and who's getting away with talent.
Yes.
But on the men's side, like sometimes it's just flat out talent, and you can't really tell until somebody's really getting out coached. But on the girls side, man, I've coached against, especially in the EYBL, so many really good coaches. Like Iowa Attack has a great program. That guy last year in Chicago, when we got done playing with them, Dave, I went and took a nap. Like the best thing about Chicago for me was our hotel being connected to the convention center. Played them. It was so much thinking and so much back and forth. Like I was mentally done. Like this is not a lie, man. I went down that escalator after I talked to the girls, got on the elevator, and went and laid down for like 30 minutes because I was tired mentally. So you're right, man. It does come down to X's and O's and who's gonna execute this, what type of adjustments you're gonna make. And a big thing for us last year in the Peach Jam was every last one of our games, all the way to the Final Four, came down to sideline out of bounds. Because it's NBA rules.
Yes.
You call timeout, you get it out on the sideline, you have to run a set. You absolutely have to have sideline out of bounds plays in the EYBL, or you're not going to make it. Like when we played Kiki Rice, Fairfax Stars, came down 3 possessions on the sideline. Our next game after that, 3 possessions on the sideline. And if you're able to execute, if your girls are able to execute, then you have success, man.
Man, I couldn't agree with that more. And, in the famous terms, like when you're coaching like that and then you're doing it year after year, I always like to say iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And so, by year 3 of that, man, you're so prepared. Like you got a backup to the backup to the backup. You get what I'm saying? You got plays for overtime that now you want to switch it up because now we got to do something different because they're going to be expecting we've been scoring off of this. Now we got to change it up. You know what I mean? And it's so like the games are so it's down to it's execution, yes. But like you said, I totally get why you're exhausted because those games come down to you have to learn how to adjust, and you got to know. Sometimes you got to depend on your assistants as well because your assistants see stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. And what's crazy is we talked about Chico earlier. the EYBL, coaching in the EYBL, and then going to coach my high school team, that's the biggest cheat code. Because those, like, when I coach against high school coaches and like in my conference and stuff, there's one coach that's really good, but they're not like a team calls a timeout and I'm expecting in my head for an adjustment. It's no adjustment. But in the EYBL, when a coach calls a timeout, they're giving you another defense, right? They're giving you another defense and they got 2 offensive plays because they're not going to call a timeout. So it's new defense, 2 plays, boom, boom. But when I take it to high school, it was like, it's always been, okay, they called the timeout because we're on a 6-0 run. Then they come out and like they're still in the same defense.
And
like,
the same thing.
Okay, so now we're going to go on a 14-0 run because you didn't make an adjustment, right? So,
but what did that do for you? That's what puts you where you at right now.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree with that.
That's what puts you there right now because, that whole summer, like I said, yes, it's getting you ready for high school, but high school and in AAU are just completely different animals.
Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love high school. I cover it as well. But like the intensity, like you said, the whole thought process, like you have to be so prepared when you're playing a takeover, a Sci-Fair. If you're playing any of those elite, a Philly Rise, any of those teams, you've got to be ready. And you got to be ready for the backup, for the backup, for the backup.
Yeah, and you just gave me a stomach ache because all of those teams right there, not only do they have exceptional players, like they're all well coached, right?
Yes, that's the difference. Like when I watched Sci-Fair, I was like, Jesus. Yeah.
Dave, that's who we lost to. That's who we lost to in the Final Four at Peach Jam last year, Sci-Fair.
They're tough, man. They're tough.
It's just like even when I called timeout to make an adjustment. He's making an adjustment in his timeout, and they had a really good night. They shot the ball well, but you're naming teams, and I would like to see more AAU coaches get their flowers because it's a lot of AAU coaches, man, that they can be sitting right here as well.
Oh, but absolutely.
Some guys, this isn't their journey. Like they're fine where they're at.
Yeah.
But like I said, Iowa Attack, the Sci-Fair coach, Team Takeover, Boo Williams.
Boom. Yeah.
Those guys, Philly Rise. They just Exodus. All of those teams, man. Like they're just
Exodus, Essence, FBC Mo. Like we can sit up here and go down the list, man, of the really good teams. Other team I love, and they're not as athletic, but the coaching, San Antonio Finest.
Oh God, man, listen, you singing, you preaching to the choir because I've been on the sideline with all of them, and like I said, man, how long is AAU? 3 months. My 3 months of AAU, and then I transitioned that over to high school. Man, It was like sometimes a high school game, respectfully, was boring from the coaching aspect.
Yes,
it's fun to watch the kids, but I want to have fun too. And the fun comes down at the end of the game and the adjustments, and and there was no secret why. And I had a really good high school team, man. In 3 years, I think we were 60-something in 3, right? We've had phenomenal seasons at St. Paul's, and we have really good players. But I think when it comes down to coaching and preparing the girls, like what you're doing to prepare those high school girls, and it's different from like I'm a career coach, like I'm all year. Like basketball, it's no basketball season. Like especially in high school, we didn't have basketball season. If you were on the basketball team, this is just what we did. Like we're gonna do it all year, right? And sometimes you run into a high school team, unfortunately, where it's basketball season, where they may have tryouts in October, and then they're starting in October. Well, we've been lifting weights, we've been running cross country, so we're not in the same weight class. Like this is different, we're not playing with the same thing. But man, all in all, man, like I appreciate the journey and I appreciate AAU because I've learned so much. And like you said, it's a cheat code, man, because I'm on the phone with these guys and I've been talking to these AAU directors for the last 3 days, and it's just like hey, I need, like I'm gonna take care of you. What you need, what you need, Moses. You need a stretch four. And the thing is, because sometimes AAU coaches, it's a selfishness in there because you have your kids that are getting recruited, but then sometimes they try to push the kid that's not getting recruited.
That's not getting recruited. So now you got to tell them no.
Right, which is fine, right? But me coming from that realm, I've seen the girls. So if it's like, hey, we got this kid, blah, 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 and I'm like, I don't remember.
You know about him.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You know about him.
And all in all, like I want to give every kid a chance because I think that's how you make your mark in college basketball as far as recruiting. Like when somebody calls me about a kid, but man, when I posted, when people found out that I was here, my inbox on.
Oh, man. I didn't even reach out to you. I didn't even say congrats. I knew. Man. I was like, man, I know if I reach out to him right now, he probably won't read that for about a week. So I just waited because I knew.
But let me tell you, because I've been in that seat and I've reached out to coaches about players, trying to give players opportunities, man, I've went through those messages, man. And I'm looking at like short YouTube clips, and I've literally wrote down 5 or 6 girls from my DM that I'm going to get in contact with after the dead period. But that's what the AAU side has done for me as far as moving on to this level. And mind you, I'm a pup, man. I just got here, right? I just got here. I haven't done anything yet, but the work will be done. Like the work is going to get done. And I'm like I said, I'm super excited, and I'm going to continue to connect with these AAU coaches because I believe in them. I believe in what they're doing. Because I'm an AAU guy myself. Like you can't, and like I said, I just got here, but you can't forget where you came from and how you got there and what you tried to do for players. If somebody push a kid off to me that can't play here, if I got a suggestion for that coach, like, hey, I think she can, I know this guy and they're looking for that. We're not, but they're looking for that. I'm going to do my best because I've always been the guy.
Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be about, man.
Like I've always been that guy to, college coaches will tell you, man, when they were calling for Flames kids or my high school kids, if the kid that they called about didn't fit that criteria, I'm like, hey, Lady Strong got a girl that does that right there, and that's what it's about, man. You just you just pay it forward.
Man, but as well as I know, man, the kids you had coming out of the Flames, man, I mean, you had Power Fives living in there, you know what I mean? And people don't understand that. And we do. But the reason why I loved coaching the Nike team was because those girls, so we had girls coming in the summer, we had 10 girls. We had 10 girls in April that had no offers, right? 0. We didn't have a girl that had an offer, Division I or Division II. We left the summer with 6 girls, 4 girls with Division I offers. Then we got some girls with Division II offers. And I feel like you have to work harder for those girls. Like you have to put those girls in position to be seen. Because when you're coaching the EYBL team, it's no girl on the EYBL team. All of them have offers. All of them.
It's not one, man. And so when you're coaching the EYBL team, it's more your focus is on winning a championship. Because those girls are already set, whether they
they're already committed half the time.
Exactly. So for me, with the Nike team, it was putting these girls in the best position on the floor so coaches can see what they can do and winning, and like just giving them advice and talking to these coaches because you have to be an advocate for those kids. Like you have to tell these coaches what you think about them. Truthfully, you have to be truthful with them. But that's what I really enjoyed about coaching the Nike team was the end result. Like in July, watching these girls that had 0 offers, we had 2 girls commit already. One committed to UNC Charlotte, another committed to App State. Like, so, and these girls that went down to Boo Williams with no offers, David, like no offers. So that made me feel good. And, I really appreciated that. And it was just a lot of talk in the summer, like, while Moses and coaching the EYBL team. And I wasn't worried about that. Like whatever Arnie needed me to do, that's what I did,
So man, you just touched something that I'm so passionate about. Listen, that first team, we all know what it is.
Right.
We all know, like, you're jockeying to get that girl from wherever. You finally got her. It's she has a number of offers already.
Mhm.
But my biggest thing for boys and girls, like, it's that second and third team. That's where the work is. That is where the work is.
For
Like,
sure.
you have to be able, if you're going to have these teams, yes, your top five or USA select players. They're all Americans. They're all that. You look at their top seven. There's
Mhm.
the blue bloods of Power Fives. That all looks great. But what you just said is, for me, what I'm so passionate about. For every team, that second team, not saying any program at all, but to me, we have to, as a culture, do better at placing that second and third team. You have to have those NAI connections. You
Yes.
have to have those D3 high academic connections. You
Avery.
have to have those JUCO connections.
Yes, you
I
do.
mean, you have to have you have to move different, because we know some D2s are not full. So you got to know, okay, my girl has a 3.6. She can get part academic, or potentially a full
Yeah,
academic, and go to this place. You have to know how to navigate and move like that.
for sure.
And some programs are not to that yet. And listen, this is not a scold moment. Flowers to you for what you did, man, definitely. But when you said that, it just took me there, because some of those girls are being left because they're playing for this
Mhm.
and not for the right fit. You know
And,
what I mean?
and let me be the first to say from experience, man, we have to it's them as well, but we have to do a better job at explaining to these girls, because you better believe, don't think not for 1 second that we didn't have girls on that Nike team that couldn't play for the EYBL team.
Yes,
The beauty
absolutely.
contest, and it's about being on the floor to show what you can do for a long time, right? So that's a big part of it as well. Like, you can't, especially with the Flames, what we preach is, any of those girls can play anywhere. We could have moved girls from the EYBL team and put them on the Nike team, and they would have been in great situations. But at the end of the day, if your AAU program is a program of Boo Williams, Fairfax Stars, Carolina Flames, if you're on the B team, those same coaches are sitting on that baseline or that sideline, right? And a lot of the mid-major schools, they go and watch the EYBL games because they want to see good, they want to see some talent, but they were at our games. I'm telling you, man, 20, 30 coaches, the mid-major schools, because we had the mid-major players, right? And if you're still
But, what did you say earlier? That, and listen, I saw it and I gave you incredible props for it. Man, you were getting the games, bro. As that Nike team, and then that is a big difference as well. Like, you were playing upper echelon talent, so yes, if
but
people didn't know that.
but let me tell you this though, you can't, like Percy, like the program director at LBI, he know me personally. Like, I'm not running from none of that. I want to play. So you have a lot of, like, some coaches don't want to go in those events, and they don't want to play those tough teams. They don't. Like, they want to, it's about the end of the summer, what your record was. And man, them coaches,
Don't nobody remember that, man.
and they don't even, unless the game goes down to the wire, they don't even really be knowing who won, man. They're there to evaluate talent. That's what they're there to do. So you have a lot of coaches that come in and be like, listen, I don't want to play this team. So then that limits you. And now you're on court 65 in the back of the gym when you need to be on court 1 and 2, because them Division I coaches ain't moving from court 1 and 2. But if you running from playing this team and that team, okay, well, I'm gonna put you on court 64 at 8 in the morning. Good luck. So Percy knows me personally, and he know, like, hey, whoever you got us to play, we're gonna play. And the coaches were able to evaluate those girls. They saw them play good. They saw them play bad. We didn't have all great games this summer, but at the end of the day, I was able to tell those girls, if this coach still offered you, They really like you because they saw you play good. They saw you play bad. They saw you frustrated. They saw you play, they saw you on your high horse. So, some of that is the coaches as well. You can't go into these events running from smoke. Just play whoever you're supposed to play, prepare your girls, and ask for some tough games. Like, give me the Carolina Flames. Give me that team. I want it, and like that's what the Strong Center did. That's how they made their name. Like, Danny Strong wasn't running from nobody. Mind you, his daughter's great, but he wasn't running from nobody. He was even playing up. And he take his loss. It is what it is. And those girls are getting recruited. I've been watching them post offers. Like a couple of those girls and they're young, man. They're getting Division II offers, and they're getting what they've earned, man. And so you can't just all the way blame. Like, you have to blame us coaches as well, because some AAU coaches don't really want that. They want to win. They want to be able to say, man, at the end of the summer we was 57-3. Okay, well, you were 57-3, but who's getting recruited?
There you go. That's the score I keep up with.
Exactly, man.
That's the score I keep up with. Man, yeah, I write about the games, but to be honest, by the time I've gotten in my car, unless it's just a dominant performance, I have to go back in my notes and be like, oh, okay, I see did this, and this.
Yeah.
By the time we get to next week, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, because that's not what it's about, man. You want to be competitive. Like, we lost to Team Curry at the buzzer. We missed the shot. Man, nobody hung their head, man. We high-fived that girl that missed the shot, that Team Curry up, and we had a game at 7:30. Like, on to the next. You lose that, it's on to the next. You lost the team takeover. Okay, it's on to the next. Like, you got to.
That's a mentality you have to instill in them. Because let's be honest, there are some parents that are hanging everything on that missed shot as well. So you got to get those parents in check too, right?
Yeah, that's a whole other segment. We don't got enough time to get the parents involved. We're gonna leave them alone today, man, because
right, listen, that's no shot at parents. Some of the parents are
For me it is.
Yeah.
Because I've viewed it from the coaching side, man, and I've watched kids sit in that locker room miserable, or like high school and AAU. Like, I've watched these kids, they like after a game, they don't even want to see mom and dad, or like they don't want to see them. They need a break. They need a break because they know they got to hear that in the car. But what that has done for me as a parent of athletes is, like, I know I don't want my kid I don't want my kid to hate me. Like, love the game. And I'm going to give you, it's a 24-hour rule sometimes. I'm going to give you a few, and we'll talk about the game another time. But, man, you got parents over there. You ain't shooting it enough. And, oh, God. It's just, and everything's the coach's fault. And, like, man, please. So, yeah, it's always a shot at some of those parents for me, because, and I was blessed at St. Paul's at my high school to have really good parents. Really, really good parents. And the Carolina Flame parents, I never had any issues there. But I've heard, man, and I watch and I visualize these kids. Some of these kids are miserable, man. They don't even want to play. And it's because of the pressure, pressure at home. I mean, they already feel pressure from their peers because they all trying to go D1, right? Or they all trying to go to school. And you hear from home. And, you got your dad that's a trainer that got cut from JV, man. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Let me ask you, man, I got a final question for you, man. So with you going and being at Western Kentucky now, it's a different realm because, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's D1 and it's a great program. They're considered mid-major. How are you going to approach it now, trying to get those high-level kids to come mid-major?
It's relationships. And
absolutely.
And I think the advantage that the mid-major schools have right now is that it's proof. It's you have actual proof that it doesn't matter what level you go to.
Sure, definitely.
What matters is your productivity on the floor. If you're able to get on the floor, right? You have to go somewhere where you're able to get on the floor, and how that coaching staff and that university is going to mold you into a great person, right? To get you ready for life. Because when you're dealing with girls, it's different. It ain't $1 million contracts out there. So I'm approaching girls to recruit them to come to a mid-major school. and they have high major potential, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the overall experience, like what's going to happen with you these next 4 years. And now we have data to prove that these kids that are going high major that had more mid-major offers than high major, man, in 8 months, where they landed? In the transfer portal. And then they're going to end up with you anyway. So come on with me now, come on early, like as a freshman, and like, let's get this thing done, because like the proof is in the pudding, man. Like you have to go. And even if you use NBA, you know, the Damian Lillards, the John Morants, like you can go, if you go to college and you tear it up, you're going to get the opportunities that you earned and that you deserve. So you don't necessarily have to go high major. And yes, the high majors, they're big conferences, they got more money. So like sometimes the facilities look good, not Western Kentucky, because we have a beautiful facility here.
They do, actually. I've been there.
This place is absolutely gorgeous. But some mid-majors aren't blessed with what we have, right? But to those, what I would tell those kids that I'm recruiting that have the chance to go high majors, you have to go where you love. Like just like I tell my players, like because the high major, it's a business. So you can be top 50 in the country, right? You can be number one in the country, a female, number one in the country in the 2023 class. That same staff is recruiting the number one player in the 2024 class, and the 25 and the 26. So it's like Hunger Games, and you have to survive. And hopefully that kid is strong enough mentally and a dog to accept that challenge. So yeah, I don't think it's hard. I don't think it's hard. You just have to build. One, you have to get on them early. Right, you have to be early. You can't be late to the party when you're a mid-major. You have to be early, right? So you can establish that relationship early, and then you just get them on campus, man. And you just, I think Coach Collins does a really good job here. We have a player here, Hayes, Anasia Hayes, and she has 4 sisters that's at Mississippi State, and she was recruited. She had Clemson, and she had Carolina, and she had a lot of Power 5 schools, and she's here with us at Western Kentucky, man. She's from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and she built Coach Collins did an amazing job at building a relationship with her. He recruited all her sisters, and then he recruited her, and she made a top 7 coming out of high school, and Western Kentucky wasn't in it, but she's here now because of the relationship that he built with her, and she saw the benefit in being here. She saw that, we've had she's a guard. She saw that we've had the last 2 freshman of the years in Conference USA, like numbers, like you have to start putting numbers in front of these kids, right? You have to put numbers in front of them. And I also think here at Western Kentucky, we have a great asset in Tamika Johnson, because Tamika Johnson is a legend. And, like the same way, and I'm not comparing Tamika Johnson to Don Staley at all, right? But Tamika Johnson has done everything that these kids want to do. So she can go into the kid's house and tell them, like, listen, I got drafted, played at LSU, Hall of Famer at LSU, Hall of Famer in the SEC, WNBA Rookie of the Year. I did that, and if you're a guard, why wouldn't you want to play under that tutelage, like somebody that did it?
And for people that don't know, she won in high school. She's like,
she
was coaching. Oh,
she's a winner, man. She's a winner.
As a coach, she was winning as a coach in Louisiana. So that's what made it scary as well. Like everybody knows, like, give her a moment to get everything set there, and the staff she got to go with her knowledge. Yeah, it's gonna be some problems.
And I'm very confident with saying this on August 15th, 2022. Tamika Johnson will be a head coach, and she's going to be a great head coach. Like she's getting started now, and she understands that me and her talk every day. She understands that she has stuff to learn, but she's going to be a head coach. She has the pedigree, the resume, and she's a dog, man. She's gonna be a head coach, and she's going to be great in this business.
Oh, and there's no doubt in my mind, just watching what she did from a coaching perspective. Let's just put the playing accolades to the side. Right. Like what she did down there in Louisiana, like, it's a matter of time.
And she did it with babies in Louisiana, because all her players were 25s and 26s, because you can play high school as middle schoolers. So she did it with babies. So That state is lucky that she decided to move on to college because she was gonna win that probably for the next 5, 6, 7 years, man. She was.
She was lining it up. But you know what's crazy about that school? Even before her, the coach before her is at Stetson.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what type of pedigree y'all got going on down here? Y'all just hiring college and just basically an audition to go to college.
Yeah, hats off to the athletic director and the principal there, right? Because they sure know how to pick them.
Yeah, man, that's an understatement there.
They're doing a good job at picking their staff. And
yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, man, with those high school players that can go high major, it's really about where you loved and when you're gonna get the opportunity, where you're gonna get the opportunity to grow. Like, because you can, like, how can I say this properly? You can make the patience is, I think we will have more patience for a kid and watching their development. The patience that when you at a Power 5, you might not have the patience because guess what you can do? You can go get another one, right? So if this is broke, I'm gonna go get another one. Here, if we have a kid that had Power 5, if we have a kid that has Power 5 potential, we need to bring that out and we need to work with that kid and go through their growing pains because we may not be able to jump back in there and get another one like that. So, you get more opportunity.
But here's the scary thing for you guys. Yes, that's the great thing about it. But if somebody gets off for Western Kentucky, the big boys are coming to get them now. And that just totally changed the game. Like, and I hate to say this, like, any of your girls make conference, all conference USA, you can best believe, they probably trying to get somebody to talk to somebody to gauge the interest of if she's going to go into the portal or not.
Right, and that's just the business now, and you have to accept it. But I'll go back to data, right? So now when you're going into these kids' houses, right, you could tell them straight up, like, because I would use it if I was a head coach, I would use it. We had, Dana Jones here, right? Dana Jones averaged 15 for us as a freshman, and she went to Tennessee, whatever, right? If you feel like you're a high major player and you're getting overlooked, come here, do what you need to do, and you'll probably get that opportunity. Because let's just be honest, a lot of these kids, men and on the boys' side and the women's side, they're using mid-majors. That's JUCO. It's the new JUCO.
Yeah, you're right.
You go, you get some tape, you get off, you go. And, as a mid-major coach, like you can't cry about it. You can't complain about it. You use that. I'm going to use that to my advantage. Like, hey, we had this kid go to Tennessee. You think you're good enough to play at Tennessee now? Hey, they haven't recruited you yet. Come on over here. Let's go ahead and win us a Conference USA championship, and you may have an opportunity. And I'm going to shake your hand and give you my best.
And just reload again, because that's the name of the game now. You got to reload.
That's it, man. This is what the NCAA has given us. And you can't whine and cry about it. You have to make the best out of it, man. And it's just how everybody grew up, man. Sometimes you don't, sometimes you make the best out of whatever opportunity you have. So, I'm just going to find ways around it. I feel like my gift is talking to these kids and building relationships with them. And it's natural, it's organic, because it ain't fake. It ain't fluff. Yeah. Like I'm going to build a relationship with these kids and recruit them the best way I need to recruit them. And if you don't get them, you don't get them. But now you're recruiting them as well, because if they do go to the Power 5 and they're not happy, they need to remember you. So it's all the same. Like we're just changing kids. If you have a kid that's mid-major and they get off, they'll leave and go Power 5. You have a kid go Power 5 and they don't get off, they come back to you. So you still have to do your due diligence with recruiting them and showing them a great point. Life. So, because if you go to Tennessee and you're not happy, and they got a kid that transferred from such and such Power 5 because they wasn't happy. Now both of y'all play the same position. You ain't happy. Come on down to Western Kentucky, and when you better believe when those kids are at those Power 5s and it ain't going the way they want to, by December they're already thinking about the school that they should have went to. Like, dang, I should have went to West. I like Coach Moses, man. God, I should have went there because you got a chance of getting them, but they went because of the name. So just like we lose kids, they're losing kids back down to us. So I mean, it's a seesaw. It's going up and down. So you to answer that last question, you can't as a mid-major assistant coach, you cannot not recruit the kid because you think they're over your level. So now
that's a great point right there. That is a great point. I hate hearing that, like, oh, we can't get them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not right now, but you need to have that prospect on your backup list as to they're looking at, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, sure. But if it don't work out, please believe that phone may ring in December or January.
Sure. And then now your work from then that you thought was in vain, it's come to fruition for you. But you have to recruit those kids because the way the portal's set up now, kids are leaving if they don't get an extra pair of socks. Like they got more socks. I'm getting in the portal. So, I just think it's a seesaw. And I'm gonna recruit every kid. If I think you're good, and you fit what coach wants in our program, I'm gonna recruit you. I'm gonna, get you on campus. I'm gonna do everything that I would do for a kid that I knew I can get. I'm gonna do it for if I can get a Power 5, if I get a kid on campus that's getting recruited by Power 5s, that says a lot right there for me. Like, okay,
get them on campus, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm telling you, man, and you've seen it. If we get a kid on this campus and they see our facilities, they see this campus, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is really nice. Because I mean, I was the same way when I got down here. When I came to visit, I was like, ooh, okay, I didn't know this was practice facility inside of the arena with the treadmill. Oh, okay, yeah, I like that. Okay, with the movie with the thing, yeah, I like that.
They doing it. Listen, Western Kentucky. Well, and I say this. Kentucky's a basketball state.
Yes,
and
man.
with Kentucky being a basketball state, just like, a lot of, I'm from Pittsburgh, that's football country.
Yeah.
That money goes into those facilities. For Kentucky, like even Run for the Roses, when you walk in there, you be like, this is crazy.
Yeah, and what I'm excited about, I've never been to Run for the Roses, and I'm praying that next year that's on my recruiting. I'm sent there. Well, I'm recruiting, so I'll send myself there.
When I say, actually, this year was my first year going.
And you loved it?
It was crazy. 1,129 coaches there.
That's crazy.
You get that, 74 courts. And for me, I pulled the Bob Huggins. Like, of course, I watched the EYBL games, but I was like, I'll go with my Knicks, Hoops Hidden Gems. Let me get out here and walk around. And I went to court 22 and came across a young lady that was 6'3", and I was like, who is this?
Mm-hmm.
And when you start, and so I sit down, so I'm starting to take notes. And I'm watching, I'm like, okay, she's got a motor, she rebounds, she blocks shots. And I'm like, wow, let me start asking. Well, she really don't have nothing. Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I tweeted out about it. And I was like, listen, I don't know if you guys know about this young lady, this, that, and the other. Tweeted out. That coach, I talked to him 2 weeks ago. He was like, brother, listen, let me tell you something. All I know is we had maybe 1 or 2 coaches coming to our game. After that tweet, we had 15 to 20 coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started to ask me about her. And I was like, oh, she's blowing up.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, and I know what you're going to do. I know that. Like, I know you're going to, of course you're going to watch. Everybody wants to see the premier games. Like, yeah, I want to see them. Sure.
You know what, David? I'm not, though. Like, I'm not. Unless I have a kid that I'm specifically watching. Like when I went to Chicago. So Chicago this year for me was different than Chicago last year. Because last year I was coaching the EYBL team. So we on the black floor all day, right?
Yeah.
I never once last year went to the other side. So this year I was on the other side. And man, I was like, yo, this play, the girl, it's a girl that she's like a 24, I think. I forgot the name of the team that she plays for. I'm watching her play. And I'm like, okay, who is this? And then I look at the baseline and Dawn's down there, Gino's down there. So then I tap somebody, it's like, oh, she's number 3 in the country. But she on this side, she ain't on the black floor. You know what I'm saying? She ain't over there. So I know for a fact, for me, I'm going to, when I'm at those big events, I'm on the other side. Unless I have a kid that I'm sitting on, like I think that, especially at mid-majors, right? Mm-hmm. That's where your program changes at. When you see a kid that's on court 27 that nobody knows, that's not really getting recruited, and you can touch that kid first, like that's where it's at. So I know for a fact that's gonna be my spot.
But you know what? There's one thing I want to tag to that, man. You all aren't afraid of skill development. That's the thing. That's the thing. With you all not being afraid of skill development, so when you see that diamond in the rough or hidden gem, you say, oh, a little polishing, and she has all conference potential.
For sure.
Or more. You know what I'm saying? And like when you see some of those kids, it's just like saying, oh, she just needs a little bit of this. Now, to your point, I will say this. We talked about it earlier. I do watch those big games, and I watch them because I watch them from a chess perspective. There's nothing for me to tweet out about any of those young ladies. I'm tweeting out about the game, but there's no, like, she's number 1, she's number 3, she's number 5. She has 34 schools. She has 45. There's no point. If I'm doing that, you need to call me out by saying you're chasing. Because there's nothing I can do for those young ladies. And I'm like, no, they have everything imaginable. What am I going to do? Try and piggyback off of them to build a brand? No, it should be the other way around, to finding those diamonds in the rough. Be like, Coach Moses, my God, listen, man. That
6'3" girl you saw, like, yeah. Where you at? You need to get over here on court 7. And guess what? I'm gonna be like this. I'm right behind you. Yeah, I'm here. I see. But you're absolutely right. But so to my so of course I'm biased. Favorite team in the EYBL is the Carolina Flames. But like I will go to those EYBL games for sure to see like Philly Rise. I'm a huge Philly Rise. Huge. I love those girls that are on the 16, they'll be 17s next year. Like, I'm going to see Philly Rise because I just love them. I love the way they play.
They're good.
Yeah, man. They're like connected. Like, you think they're playing together forever. So, like, I am a fan of games, of teams.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. I got what you're saying. Like, so I'm going to go see, like, Danny from the Gym Rats. I'm going to see his teams. And I'm going to go see those teams from I'm supporting you standpoint.
From a fan perspective, exactly.
But if I'm trying to find a kid, when I'm trying to find a kid, I got to go to the other gym because I want less people in there. I don't need, I don't need to be sitting in the chair next to Tennessee and then Kentucky, and I'm Western Kentucky in the middle. Like, nah. I'm gonna go to the other gym and I'm gonna find my diamond in the rough over there. And to piggyback off what you said, man. If skill development is involved, you see the minor infractions, right?
Yes.
Like, in there, a couple hours in the gym on that jump shot there, as long as the kid plays hard, because you can't. If the kid has a motor, then you're fine. Like, I don't want to recruit a kid that don't have a motor, because contrary to everyone's belief, every coach's belief, you cannot put a motor in a kid. Like, that kid is going to be that kid no matter what. They 17, 18 years old. They may play a little harder because you got your foot in their butt, but I don't want to have to coach effort. I don't want to have to coach energy. I want to coach basketball and like help you with your skill. I don't want to get out there and have to rev you up all the time to play. And I'm always hyped. You see me coach. I'm clapping. I'm jumping. I don't want to have to put on a show for you to play hard or figure out, what. So if somebody talk about her mom, if somebody say your mom, like, get a way to get them upset. Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Like, I don't want to coach energy and effort. I want to coach dogs that are really willing to work and get better. So if those kids are in the other gym, as long as they got a motor, like, I'm not scared of it.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Hey, man, listen, as you know, man, we can sit here and talk basketball all night long because when you first came on the show, you hit it right on the head. Like, this is what you love to do, and it's evident. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And with it being evident, man, not only you become passionate, but also you're trying to win because, like you said, you have to win now. You know what I'm saying? You
Sure.
got to find those diamond in the roughs. This is your job. This is how you feeding your family, and you know, it just makes it better that you enjoy what you do, and you're not getting up like, let me
Right.
go ahead and punch the clock.
Yeah, ain't none of that, man. You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
up in the morning looking forward to getting to work. I mean, I know I have all this week. Our team is actually in Italy. I got hired late, so I couldn't make the trip. And then, my daughter starts school tomorrow. Just some different things that lined up. But I've been getting up in the morning and getting here, and I've been here practically all day. I go get my daughter, bring her back to work out, but it's not a task. It's not a chore. It's exciting to get the work done. So I'm really, like I said, man, I wake up every morning. This is Disney World for me, and I'm going to treat it like Disney World. It's not a Power Five. This is my Power Five because for me, this is my dream job. So I don't care if I didn't have an office, if I was in the hallway with a man, it wouldn't matter to me. This is my dream job, and I'm going to treat it as such.
I don't blame you, man. I mean, and what's being built there, you can proudly say that you're a part of it. And as this continue to move and, Western Kentucky's making noise, yes, some people will be surprised that aren't in the know. They'll be like, oh, Western Kentucky. But I know from my perspective that I'll be like, yeah, it was expected to see what they were going to do, and that staff because, they got an A1 staff and I just feel like everything's going to fall into place in due time, man.
Right. Yeah. And Coach, the team finished in fourth last year in Conference USA with all freshmen and sophomores. So like we don't lose a kid for 2 years, right? So
Yeah.
I mean we're gonna be fine, man. We're gonna get some pieces in here, 1 or 2 pieces that will help elevate us to where we need to go. But we're gonna get it done, and at the end of the day, the work is gonna be put in, and then we'll just figure out what the results are gonna be.
There's one last thing I'm gonna leave you on that definitely helps you from a recruiting standpoint. You all have an awesome fan base.
Oh my God, man! I've seen man, and I haven't. Of course, I haven't been to a game yet. I have not coached in a game yet, but I just freshmen are moving in, right? And you can tell from moving in because I helped today. I volunteered to help kids move in. Man, these parents have WKU gear down to the socks, and I would probably say 60% of the parents that I help move the kids in, they're graduates of here, or they went to grad school here. They live in Bowling Green. They might have lived in Bowling Green and went to UK and then finished here, like did their master's here or whatever. And when a lot of the parents were finding out that I was the women's basketball, I guess something was put out. So a couple people was like, "Oh, you're the new coach." Man,
oh yeah, they know you. They know you already.
Man, at least 20 parents said today, "Oh, we're season ticket holders. We come to every game. Me, my husband, my grandma. We come to all the games. We sit right in section 14. It's been our seats for the last 7 years." I'm like, dang. And I was in Kroger yesterday with my daughter, and a guy walked by. And he was pushing the cart, and then he kind of stopped. He said, "Aren't you the new coach at Western?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." He was like, "We're so excited about the season. We're season ticket holders." I'm like, "Dang, okay. Well, I appreciate you."
Yeah.
So, like, this is definitely basketball. The town is all back, even down to the high school, like Bowling Green High School and middle school. My daughter goes to the middle school, but like the fan base, man, like it hasn't been no one that I've met yet that hasn't said they're coming to the games.
But that's Kentucky in general. One of my very good friends is from Louisville. Mm-hmm. And so, he used to always talk about how passionate the fans were. And I live in Atlanta. And so Louisville was playing UAB, and we drove 2 hours over there. And it was just as many fans, if not more, from Louisville at the game than UAB. And I walked in, and he looked at me like, "I told you." And I was like, Man, it's crazy right here. Like
I'm excited.
Kentucky's the state. Yeah, man. Like, yeah, you got a backing. You definitely got a backing, man. So you got support. You got a great staff. You bringing in players. That's all the recipe right there, brother.
And good energy, man. And good energy.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really about the energy, man. We're gonna keep good energy that attracts the players that we need, and we're gonna get it done, man. Like I said, I'm excited about this journey, and I don't think that God could have put me in a better spot to start my college women's career. Like I think this is the perfect spot for me.
Man, and that's what about 5.5 from Atlanta, man. So, man, I'm gonna have to sneak up there and then check you out, man.
And all you gotta do is shoot me a text, and however many tickets you need, man. I'm gonna make sure you square it away for sure.
No question, man. Listen, man, you family on this show, man. So this won't be the last time you come on, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Best of luck to you, man. But I'm gonna come up there to support, man. Hey, man, I want a T-shirt too. I love that T-shirt. That T-shirt's tight.
Okay. Yeah, oh man, we got it. We got it. I've been getting blessed pretty much almost every day, man. So I'll make sure you're good. That's my word.
Yeah, definitely, man. I was like, man, that's cool right there. I like that shirt, man. I was like, look, I'll wear that on the show right there. I was like, that's tight, man.
For sure.
Yeah, so, brother, listen, man. I can't wait to see what you guys do up there, man. I'll definitely be there to support, man, and I can't wait to see how y'all turn that around. And look, people watching the show, they calling you out and everything, brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy for you, man. I'm definitely happy for you. You deserve it. You got the cheat code. Look, and I'm gonna tell folks, I'm like, man, he cheat over there, man. He know everybody, man. He cheat. But like you said, it's relationships. You have them. You'd be a fool not to take advantage of them. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said at the end of the day, it's going to be some changes in Bowling Green.
And I think the key word in that is genuine relationships involved.
Yes.
It's genuine. Like coaches, like these AAU coaches, and like they know me from the circuit, and they know that I'm passionate about this thing, and I'm for the players, and I'm going to try to get the best players that I can to fit in what we do here. But yeah, it's definitely a cheat code, man. You ain't lying about that.
Hey, you got it. You'd be crazy not to take advantage. You'd be crazy. Man.
Life is about opportunities, man, and connections, right?
Connections all day. Man, I'll be the first to tell you, man, connections and opportunities got me to this part on the show, man, to be able to get guys like you and to get Larry Hughes and to be, man.
And the coach from Averett, man.
Like, listen, man, she is awesome. And I was blessed enough. I've been up to that, man. I've been up to that facility. Mm-hmm. Brother, that's a D3 facility that's better than, we won't name any schools, a number of schools.
Yeah, we have a kid. We have a kid that played for the Flames that's going to be a freshman there this year. So definitely familiar. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. That's
for sure. Like you're doing
an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. That. You're definitely doing a great job. And I said, Larry Hughes. I said, man, I love Larry Hughes, man. So like, this has been an honor today, man. I definitely appreciate you. And it won't be, no matter what happens, it will never be hard for you to get me on here, man. No matter
I appreciate
what the level is. If I move 18 inches over to the left, man, no matter what, you can always get me on this show because I'm going to remain me. And, like we said, man, genuine relationships is really what carries you through this thing, right?
Absolutely, man. And, man, I appreciate you, man. And definitely, man, a fan of yours. Definitely a fan of, WKU. I know all about the program. I know about the town. So we were talking. This wasn't news to me. I knew what you was getting into. And
right.
Man, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to see. I'm like, man, when I saw the announcement, I was like, ooh. I was like, that's a good fit. Like when you start talking Western Kentucky, Murray State, those type of schools and the fan bases are crazy. I'm like, man, you are in heaven. I mean, that's
right.
For a passionate person, it doesn't get any better than that, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, Power Fives are great, but when you have those mid majors with crazy fan bases, you can't, like I said, you go into the store and
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy to think that, man. Like, yeah, but in the same sense, y'all better win.
Yeah, for sure. Because it can flip on. It's like Madison Square Garden. It's like being
Yeah, oh, yes, absolutely.
right, man. Like I said, like it's like every day I wake up, man. This is Disney World for me, man. Like, sometimes I gotta pinch I miss my high school kids, and I'm gonna miss them. Like, I'm still looking at Twitter. It's a football game at St. Paul's Friday. I'm mad I'm not gonna be there, but I wake up in Disney World every day, man. I'm at my dream job, dream situation. Got my daughter with me, so every day since I've been here for the last 2 weeks, has been like, this is really your job. Like, I wake up every day to come in here and do basketball. Like, come on, man. I couldn't ask for
Don't
nothing
get no better than that, man.
As you have to really appreciate the things that you pray for. And I prayed for this. I worked for this. Like every coach has messaged me and told me, and it makes me feel good. Like, you earned this. Like, you earned that opportunity. So, I'm just grateful, and I'm thankful for everyone that has supported me, that believed in me. And, it's more to come. Like, I'm going to continue to elevate and grow and learn from this staff. It's plenty for me to learn, because right now I don't know nothing, right? Really. So it's plenty for me to learn, but, that's a challenge that I'm, willing to take. And I'm just excited, man. Every single day I come in here, I get like goosebumps, man.
I'm excited for you, man. Like I said, when you first announced it, I was like, man, that's crazy. Like, just thinking of the fit. To be honest, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's a great fit for him right there. And I was like, oh, did he bring to the table? Oh, gosh. Look, if I was a Vegas bet, man, I'd be like, hey, give me 500 on Western Kentucky. They'd be looking at me.
Oh, man, I'm going to keep my mouth closed on that. I just took an NCAA class today. I don't know about it. I just took one at 2:00, and that was mentioned, man. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. You can't touch that. Hey, but man, listen, I'm so excited for you, man. Like I said, I'm gonna get that WKU shirt, man, and man, I can't wait to come up there and see you guys play, man. Seriously,
I can do you one better, man. Just when we get off, man, just DM me your address and your shirt size, and I'm gonna take care of you. I got you.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, man. Okay. Hey, man, we'll be talking soon, man. As a matter of fact, we will be talking
for sure.
All right, all right, man. Man, I appreciate you, man. Much love, brother. We'll be talking soon, okay?
I appreciate it.
All right. Coach Moses, man. Hey, man, listen. A lot of times you come into this business and you run across people where you share not only the same passion, but conversation turns into one thing, to one thing, to one thing. And he's a genuine good guy, man. Like, to be honest, I was a fan of his from afar, from covering the game. And I'm like, man, this dude can coach. And I was like, goodness, this is awesome right here. And I made it a point to seek him out, and he was very receptive, and that's how it all happened. And like he said earlier, it's about genuine relationships, man. And man, he's a genuine dude. There's no question about that. Man, thank everybody for tonight, man. This one's been a good one, man. I put this one up there with some of the best shows, Coach Driver, I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you turn that thing around at Averett. Larry Hughes, brother, what can I say? Appreciate you as well. Coach Moses, my guy, and I'm a fan as it is already, man, and I can't wait to see you guys do big things. Next week, we got another great show, man. We're going to keep building this thing. This is episode 60. I can't wait to see you get this episode 75 and episode 100. It's coming. But we're going to keep doing this thing, and it's about education. It's about knowledge. It's about understanding this recruiting process and understanding people's journey as they talk about it, as they come onto the show. Man, I appreciate everybody coming on and hanging out with me for 2 hours and 26 minutes. Sometimes we go over. It is what it is. That's part of the show. But, it's something I love to do, and we're going to keep doing this. I'm David Jones, your host at Hoops Hidden Gems. You all have a good night.